All right, cool. So here with Ben Seward with Good Bones Photography. He is a legend in the industry. He has been helping me for the last couple of years now, and really a go-getter and great entrepreneur as a business owner. So Ben, welcome. Tell me a little bit about yourself, a little bit about brief history about yourself, stuff like that.
Sure. So the way I started my business was I was working in San Antonio. Didn't like my job too much, so I found a way to take one of my passions, which was photography, and then found a good way to make money off of it. There's all kinds of different photo shoots you can do, and I picked the one that was probably the least stressful for me since I was trying to get away from stress.
Yeah.
And so what I did there was found real estate photography, and then started my business after that. Moved to out of San Antonio, quit my job, and we started a business here in New Orleans. And my wife and I are, happy to be here. It's great.
Where were you working in San Antonio at the time?
So I was a what's called a 0132 for Homeland Security. So I was doing counter narcotics work, basically hunting down cartel members for Homeland Security. Pretty successful at it, but it was like super stressful. So
I could imagine. I mean, yeah. I mean, I bet you're glad you because you're out of it now, right? You're officially.
Yeah, I retired. So I did 20 years in the Navy. Just retired in June. Loving my new beard.
Yeah.
So just got out of the Navy, and I'm officially done with any government work, which is great. It feels like a huge weight lifted off my shoulders.
I bet it does. Congratulations on that.
Thanks, man.
Everything that's going on right now in the world with the cartel and how Trump has ignited this war on the cartel members. I bet you're glad you're kind of not pushing everything and not involved in any of that right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of one of the other reasons why I quit was it was just kind of dragging on me. It wasn't super aligned with my values,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Busting drugs coming to the United States was one thing.
Well, the you that I know is not that person.
Yeah, that wasn't really me, right? So I guess the way I got all started in this was, so I was working in the Pentagon as an intel analyst up there, and went through a divorce and needed to move to San Antonio to be near my kids.
Mm-hmm.
So I switched lanes from the intel that I was doing to working counter narcotics in San Antonio. So I was working for the Army as a contractor. And
how did you get into the military? I've never asked you this question.
How did I get into the military?
What was your stepping in point?
Oh, so you want to go to the... Okay, so...
I know it's probably a long story.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking 20 years of my life. But so when I was in high school, I wanted to be a nuclear engineer on an aircraft carrier for some reason.
Okay. Cool.
I was in AP Physics, tested out of that. I started out going to school as a physics honor kid. Quickly figured out that I couldn't do calculus that well. Took me 3 times to pass Cal 2, but I did it. And I got into the military because I needed a way to pay for college. And so I got a scholarship with them, and then joined the Navy after that. I did 6.5 years active duty. 4.5 of that was on ships out at sea. So I spent a good 3.5 years of my life at sea. That's just deployments, not necessarily workups to get ready to deploy and things like that. Mm-hmm. So literally on the water, out sailing around. And what's really crazy is, I just did all that to pay for college. And I chose the Navy because I wanted to get out of Texas. Yeah. And so I found myself back there twice. So my second duty station, I was in Norfolk, Virginia for my first, on a frigate, which is now decommissioned. That's how old I am.
Well, you look great, dude.
Thanks, man. Moisturized.
Yeah.
No, seriously, moisturized.
Yes. Melissa tells me all the time.
Yeah, I joined the Navy
Yeah.
to get out of Texas.
Mhm.
So I was like, I want to go see the world, want to go do things, whatever. I got stationed in Norfolk, Virginia, which was great. But it's like one of the, you think about all the duty stations that the Navy has, you have like Florida, you have Hawaii, you have Italy, Japan, all of these different places. And I got Virginia, which was nice. I mean, it was different than Texas. But
Yeah.
my second duty station was Corpus Christi.
Mm-hmm. I know Corpus Christi well.
Christi, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Which was fine. But then after that, I got stationed at the Pentagon. So I kind of got a little bit of a reward there. So I was at working at the Pentagon.
I bet that was exciting, being in the Pentagon.
It was very exciting. So I went from being on a minesweeper, which is a wooden ship with a very junior command, right? So so the same rank that I retired in was the same rank as my commanding officer on the minesweeper, right?
Wow.
Someone who's probably about 15, 16 years in the military, right? It's a lot of responsibility. You have, 80 people on board and you're out there, we blew up mines that Saddam put in the water in 2003. We blew them up in 2008, right? So, I mean, you're out there doing like real world missions. Like it's legit. And so, when I got done with that, I went to the Pentagon, right, where I was literally briefing 2-star admirals and generals on the regular. So I went from a very junior command to the Pentagon, and I was like starstruck right away, right? But you just kind of carry on and do the mission, right?
So, well, you were moving up, right? You were moving up in the industry, right? The governmental industry, and so you did a good job on the minesweep, and now you're at the Pentagon, and apparently doing something right.
Yeah. So what's funny is I interviewed for a position at the White House. So coming from a minesweeper, right, I did a pretty good job on the minesweeper.
Well, I got you to the Pentagon.
Yeah, and it was interesting because like I was put in a field. I have a degree in anthropology, right? So my aspirations of being a nuclear physicist and all that, quickly fizzled out. I got a degree in anthropology from A&M.
Degree in anthropology, went to the Navy.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, one on water, one on land, right?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
But I mean, they kind of go hand in hand because you're going into different ports, you're going into different countries, right? So it's kind of like you're going and seeing a bunch of different cultures all the time.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so they kind of did go hand in hand, and what's really funny is they pegged me as like the liaison officer. Anytime we did anything with the foreign military, they sent me.
You're just a personable guy, man. You're a likable guy.
Well, they were like, "Hey, you got a liberal arts degree. Go ahead and go on the Saudi shit." And I was like, "I don't want to go on the Saudi shit."
Please don't send me.
Have you ever heard of the term Shanghai?
I have, but I don't know.
Okay, so what happened was so somebody has to drive the ship 24/7, right? So there's always somebody on watch, is what we call it. And I had the 2 a.m. till 6 a.m. watch.
Okay.
Right. I got off watch. I went to breakfast, and was about to go crawl into my rack and go take like a nap for a little while before I went back on watch later on. And, my department head, the lieutenant that was in charge of me, goes, "Hey, I need you to go over onto a Saudi ship." And I was like, "Okay, what's going on?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, we have an exercise and we're going to do like maneuvers with them. And your job is to make sure that ship doesn't hit our ship." And I was like, "Roger that, man. I gotcha." So, no sleep. I think I got up at midnight the night before, so you can be like on watch and ready to go and like awake because, you're driving the ship. So you have like everybody's lives in your hand. You're in charge of everything going on the ship.
Right.
So, I mean, it's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
So they put me on a boat, stuck me over on the Saudi ship for this maneuvers, right? And luckily, I didn't realize this at the time, but the Saudis, the commanding officer and the executive officer over there, so the two in charge, they went to school in Virginia Beach, which is right outside of Norfolk.
Okay.
So they went to like war college and type stuff like that, right by where I lived, right? So, I mean, the guy spoke perfect English, their commanding officer and everything. So I was able to explain everything to him super easily, helped him with his maneuvers and whatnot. And then we got like another meal because it was about lunchtime, and I'm sitting there eating and I just fall asleep.
Yeah.
Right. And I woke up and I was like, shit, what time is it? Oh, can I cuss? Or...
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I was like, dude, what time is it? I looked at my watch and I was like, crap, I got to be back on watch here at like in a couple of hours.
Oh, man.
Right. So I need to like find a way to get back to the ship. I got to, check on all my sailors that work for me and things like that. Right. And so I go to their commanding officer and I'm like, hey, I was like, what's the plan to get me back to my ship?
Yeah.
I got responsibilities and stuff. And he goes, oh, we're going to keep you here. You did such a good job. And I'm like, sir? I was like,
what?
Yeah, the Saudi officer was like, hey, we're going to keep you here. And I was like, what are you talking about?
No, the hell you are. You're not going to keep me here.
Little known fact. So Saudi Arabians can only... Well, this was like 2006.
Mm-hmm.
So back then, like they only went out to sea for like 3-4 days because in their culture, their wives aren't allowed to leave the house without male supervision, right? Back then,
right?
I don't know what it is now,
right?
But I mean, that's just kind of Saudi culture.
I think from what I've heard, they've lenient up a little bit, but it hasn't been too dramatically different.
Yeah. So I mean, these guys are very traditional, devout Muslims,
cool.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And the interesting part was, so they only go out to sea for like 3 days because they go grocery shopping and everything with their wives, and then they take them home, and then everybody sits on the family compound for a while. So all the sailors and all that, all their families are there for 3 days.
Yeah.
Right. So they can only be away for so long.
Gotcha.
So when we were out there, I was like, dude, I got to go back. Because they don't have like toilet paper. They don't have like any of these things. It's very different. If you've never been to like the Middle East,
I have not.
They don't have like toilets and stuff. They just have like a hole in the ground. So like I brought toilet paper in a backpack and like some snacks, but I didn't have like any food or like toiletries or anything because I was only expecting to be on the ship for like 2 hours max.
Right.
This was like 8 hours later, and I'm like, I gotta go, man. So commanding officer's like, hey, yeah, we're just gonna keep you, and I'm like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
So I went up to the bridge and I was like, hey. I was talking to their officer of the deck that's driving the ship, and I asked him, I was like, can I borrow your radio? And I call over to my ship. I'm like, hey, I was on the Nicholas, it's Warship 47. So
okay.
Like, hey, Warship 47, this is, what Saudi ship is this? And I got the whole number, and I was like, hey, what's the plan to recover all the, liaison officers?
Me.
So there was, I didn't realize there was 2 other officers that were out there.
Man.
Right?
So all 3 of y'all were stranded.
So yeah, what had happened was, I'm not going to put his name out there, but the guy that sent me off, my department head, had forgotten that he put us out there because he's on the same shifts, kind of like we are.
Everybody's sleep deprived.
Super sleep deprived, right? I mean, what we have is 5 and dime, so you're on watch for 5 hours, off for 10,
okay,
and you have to work during that, right? So not only are you standing a watch and driving the ship, or doing with the ship's like weapon systems and things like that, you're also like trying to manage all of your normal duties, right? So I was the first lieutenant, so I was in charge of the painting the outside of the ship, driving the ship, just all kinds of stuff. Okay. Right? There's a lot of work, right? And so he had forgotten about all 3 of us.
Right.
So I called over to my ship. I coordinated a pickup, and I was like, hey, bring the small boat over. We'll meet you there. And then I coordinated with that officer. And the Saudi captain, he didn't really know what was going on. And, I just kind of planned it and just executed it. Yeah. Right? Because I was like, I'm getting back to my ship.
You're not
like,
keeping me here. It's not happening.
So then once I got back to my ship, I talked to our ship, and then I coordinated picking up all the other guys. And I was like, dude, this is wild. I was like, I can't believe you did that to me.
Well, that's actually a great lesson. So, right?
Yeah. And it kind of worked out good for me later. Because what happened was that guy, he felt so bad on my next duty station.
The guy that put y'all there felt so bad?
Yeah. The guy that like forgot that I existed on another ship and almost had me shanghaied to Saudi Arabia.
Very important thing to remember.
Yeah, you should remember where your people are. It's kind of a,
definitely
kind of a thing. But he kind of made it up to me later. So on my minesweeper, we were in Bahrain, and he was stationed in Bahrain too for the next duty station for him. And he went to Iraq for like 6 months or something like that. And he gave me the keys to his apartment. And it was like, because I lived on the ship.
Right.
So we were like, we didn't have a place to stay. If you went out in town and you had a beer or two, you had to be sober enough to come back on the ship because it was like that. And so he gave me the keys to his place, and I was like, okay, dude, all right, we're kind of cool now.
Nice.
So yeah, it was
water
like
under the bridge.
Yeah, kind of.
Sounds like you're still holding a little chip on your shoulder.
I mean, it's just a funny story now, but I mean, he's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so after that, got into Intel, in the Pentagon, and did all kinds of stuff, man. It was a wild journey, but yeah, I picked up photography on a deployment.
Mm-hmm.
I was deployed with a SEAL team, and they wanted me to take pictures for all of their operations. So that what they wanted to do was, when you get done with a mission, you go and you take a PowerPoint and you put all your pictures from the mission onto like a storyboard kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then you send that up to your higher ups, so that way they understand like how you executed the mission and things like that. So they wanted me to go take photos of all that stuff. And so in 2015, I was out there taking pictures through a night vision goggles.
You were just going on all these different missions with all these people that weren't your team and taking pictures, or was it specifically your team that you were taking pictures?
So they're my team.
Okay.
So we were on we were out at sea. We were on a commercial ship, and we were out doing missions to support like counterterrorism type stuff.
Okay.
So anytime they went on a mission or did anything, I was out there taking pictures and learning how to shoot. I had no idea how to shoot a camera at all, and so picked it up real quick. And then I was like, dude, I like photography. So when I was working for the Army in San Antonio, I was working out of embassies in Central South America, and so I just would go on jungle trips and stuff like that, and take a camera with me and learn to shoot photography there. So it was pretty fun.
Is that where you kind of learned about lighting and stuff like that, or had you been messing with that? Like, when did you really learn about? Because I know you're really fluent and you have a very good eye for lighting and for all that stuff. So when did you really kind of dig into all that stuff?
So just kind of picked it up over time.
Yeah.
So 2015 was when I first picked up a camera. 2017 was when I started going to the jungle. So I had like a few years of experience
playing around with it
from there. Yeah. And then,
because I know I send you screenshots. I'm like, what about these settings? Somebody's saying these are the best. And you're like, those settings are trash. Don't do that.
I did say that. Yeah. Yeah. We can set that up for you in a little while. It's funny. You just kind of pick it up after a while. You know what I mean? It's like trial and error.
More into some of it.
Yeah. I mean, some of the first, what's really funny is the first, photo shoot I ever did was my own house in San Antonio when I was trying to sell it to move to New Orleans. And I look back at those pictures the other day and I was like, oh my God, I've come so far in the last 5 years. Well, it was really like 4 years. I was like, man, it's crazy. You get new equipment and you learn that equipment and things like that. You know how it is. And there's always bugs with everything. We've done shoots together where I'm like, hey, man, like, I'm trying to work this out. But
I mean, because when you're shooting stuff like we've done, like a lot of off the wall stuff, there's no scripting for it, right? It's just like, let's see how this works, and then it's like, oh, well, actually, it'd be better this way, or actually, let me try this. And before you know it, you've shot the same thing 5 or 6 times, 6 different ways, but you got the right one after all the troubleshooting.
Yeah, exactly. And then you kind of gotta go post edit and touch it up,
because we're making art. Like that's something that I try to really incorporate in my business, is like creativity and art, because I like being creative, and I feel like that's one of the reasons I'm doing this podcast. I want to share with the world people's opinions of things, how they can get out of their own way and achieve things, and by listening to people who have done the same thing.
Yeah, it's funny, man. I'll tell this story. I don't know. No one really knows this except for my wife. Maybe like one other person. But so the way I built my business was I had a motorcycle in San Antonio. Sold my motorcycle, bought my camera and my first set of gear, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't have everything I needed, right? I didn't have a drone. I didn't have a 360 camera. I didn't have a gimbal for video or anything like that. And so what I did was I waited until I got a job for those things before I really purchased them, right? So first I just started out with photos, did that for about probably like 2-3 months. And then I got a 360 camera, which was, a better way to go. So then I added more and more features to my business as time went on. And I learned to do those, right? So the first time somebody hired me for a video, I'll never forget this. I was blown away, and I didn't have a gimbal. I had no idea how to do it. And I went out, bought a gimbal from Best Buy, and stayed up till about 4 a.m. doing all these tutorials. I bought an online course.
Was it an actually good gimbal?
Yeah, it's good. I still use it today. It's the same one I have.
Okay.
You know, so I wasn't like purchasing like, trash stuff, but it was like, yeah. And it's funny, what you said was we're creating art.
Yeah.
Well, I have always had a creative eye when it comes to that kind of stuff, right? So I knew what I was doing. You do. And so I shot it, and I was like, man, I have no idea what I'm doing, right? But I watched like all these tutorials, and I had a decent knowledge of how to run different things, right? And I got done, and I gave it to the real estate agent who had hired me, and she goes, I don't know how you do this, but you created art out of nothing. Because it was an empty house. It was like maybe like a $400,000 house in Metairie somewhere. And I was like, dude, I just did my best, you know? And she was blown away. And it was crazy because like, I had learned it like the night before. And so I took that mindset that basically what you have to do is just figure it out as you're going.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like, and be honest with people. Be like, hey, look, this is my first video, and I'm going to do my best. So I'll give you the best product, and we'll reshoot it, or, you know what I mean? It was just one of those things, and she loved it, and she put it on her website and everything, and now I look back at it, and I'm like, man, that was such a terrible video. Like, it was garbage, but, you learn from there. And it was a crazy experience of creating art in order to do that.
Well, you can tell the difference in people who come out and take these photos for your properties and stuff, and they're just trying to get the widest angles and just get the smallest amount of photos, and someone that has an actual eye of creativity. And I learned that from you right away. You were the only person in the city that I've ever used that has just been like, let's try this, not just coming in with the camera and I'm out of here, I'm done. Yeah. And so I really appreciated that about you, which is why I've partnered with you for every listing that I've ever had since I met you. Yeah. Because it's just different. Like, everything comes out better with someone who has a creative vision rather than someone who's just going to work and leaving and doesn't have a passion for it.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge difference that I kind of brought to this was, I've had such a wild and crazy life up until I started my business, and that I did this to relieve stress from what I was doing and things like that. And so when I'm out there, I'm like, I enjoy it. Yeah. Right? It's not,
you can tell
it is work, right? It does have long days. I mean, there's been days where I work 16, 17 hours, things like that.
Cause you got to go back and edit everything after you shoot it.
Well, not only that, but like during the summertime, man, last summer, June and July, my wife was visiting her mom in Texas. And so I was working sun up to sundown. I mean, there were days where I would do 8-9 shoots and then come home, edit everything, and get it back to the customer the next morning. So I'm like beat at the end of the day. So you're literally doing shoots all day, driving around everywhere, and then editing everything. And, it's a racket. So, but at the same time, like, I look at it and I try to, do you know the term alchemy? Yeah. Yeah, so I try to alchemize bad things into good things, right? Turning lead into gold. Yep. Because what I like to do is say, hey, man, at least I'm not getting shot at today, or things like that. You know what I mean? Of like, hey, it could be way worse. I could be doing that old job that I
could be stuck in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I could be shanghaied on a Saudi ship, pooping in a hole in the ground. No, so everywhere else in the world, there's a lot of bidets. So toilet paper. Okay. Yeah, toilet paper is kind of like
it's kind of a luxury here in America, huh?
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like, they got a bidet.
Yeah. I mean, you see a lot of them nowadays.
I do. Yeah, and all these nicer houses that I'm selling, they definitely see more.
Yeah. Yeah, so I change that all the time, right? Like, I try to alchemize. Every time I'm having a bad day, you look at it and you say, this could be way worse. And I've tried to do that my whole life, but it's so much easier when you're doing something that you enjoy. You know what I mean? So...
Well, and it takes a lot of negative thinking before you start realizing that doesn't serve you at all, right? It's like, okay, I'm sitting here, I'm worrying, I'm thinking all these negative thoughts, but just like you said, it's like, okay, instead of saying that, be like, okay, at least I'm not getting shot at today. You're thinking about it half full. You're throwing positive thoughts into something to replace those negative thoughts. And that changes the entire outlook you have on like reality, right? When you start doing that almost unconsciously because you do it so much. And I've practiced that for quite a long time. And yeah, sounds like you do too.
Yeah, I every time I'm getting down, my wife and I have a really cool thing we ask each other when we're kind of down on the dumps and we're angry or whatever. We look at the other one and say, "Hey, tell me something good," so we can switch that mindset.
Yeah,
I do it fairly often, and we reciprocate for each other too, because that helps out. Just changing that mindset
for sure. That's great. That's great. Or like going up to somebody and instead of a, "Hey, how's it going?" "Oh, hey, how's it going?" And then don't really care how it's going for them, right? Just like small talk, just to be cordial. But like changing that up, be like, "Hey, doing anything exciting lately? Like up to working on anything exciting?" Like that's supposed to scientifically create dopamine by someone thinking about something exciting that they're doing and then talking about it.
Yeah.
So instead of just, say, "Hey, working on anything exciting lately?" Then they think about that. And then it's a more engaging conversation. You're developing that relationship more instead of just, "How's it going?" "Going good. Thanks. See you later." It's the conversation won't last longer than 3 minutes, but you're giving someone 3 minutes of your time rather than just 5 seconds of, "How's it going? How's it going?" Bye.
Well, and the other thing is you're forming a relationship with that person.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like even small little, like 3 or 4. That's what helps me in my business a lot is when you have a conversation with someone and you remember that for the next time you meet them.
Yeah.
Even if it's just that 3 minutes of, "Oh, my kid's in a soccer game, and so we're gonna go do that." So the next time you see them, just ask them, be like, "Hey, how was your kid's soccer
Yeah.
game?"
Did they win?
Yeah, and that kind of stuff makes a difference because people want to be relatable and things like that.
People want to be heard. People want people to actually listen to them. And in the 3-second world of social media and everything like that, people are constantly doom scrolling for that next hit of dopamine when in reality, all it could be is just engaging in an extra minute or two in a conversation like that rather than just, "How's it going?"
Man, it's so funny. Social media, what you're talking about there, man. It's just so crazy because being in the real estate business and creating content for real estate agents and things like that, man, it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? So you're on social media to try and figure out what the new trends are and things like that, but at the same point, like a lot of it is just dopamine hits that don't really get you anywhere or things like that. And so there's a lot of people that make a lot of money off social media.
A lot of people.
But also, like, there's also a lot of people that it depresses all day long. Because when you get away from your phone, you're like a zombie, man.
Yes. Yes.
It's interesting as a photographer, right? So you don't do this, but a lot of agents will just kind of be like, "Okay, I'm going to sit on my car or I'm going to go sit on the front porch," right? So I'm by myself for a majority of the day. And what I find is like, people like immediately start scrolling, like within like maybe 20 seconds of being by themselves. Like nobody just sits in silence anymore. And so it's like like I said, like you're creating content to sell houses or things like that, but at the same point, like you can tell, like people are very addicted to that stuff.
Very.
I mean, even what we're doing here, the long form content. I feel like this is a different kind of platform with long form because you can have conversations and people listen and you can flesh out details and things like that, but a lot of times people are just trying to get that dopamine hit, and it's like, I mean, it's crazy.
It is. And from an entrepreneurial mindset, it's like you want to constantly be putting stuff out there on social media, but all of that stuff, concocting and putting together and editing all that content takes so long to be consistent with it, right? And in a book I read, Passive Prospecting, they said that it takes 9 short form content videos that someone needs to see of you for them to even remotely begin to have some kind of relationship with you. 9.
Interesting.
But on YouTube and on the long form content like we're doing, all it's going to take is one video.
Yeah, they just need to, I mean, it's probably more
along
the lines of like 30 seconds to a minute of content with you, right? Because on the short form content, maybe you have like a minute, but people don't watch the whole thing. They'll watch like 7 seconds. So
right.
I would say it's more of like, it's just that 5 minutes, that 3 minutes for you to get to establish that relationship. You know what I mean? It's what you see in person is the same thing that you're getting online.
Yep.
right? So
And that's the mindset that I got to step into when I'm trying to do things like this. Cause it's like, okay, also as a consumer, how am I going to like edit this content? Because there's all these art videos that are on the internet that are like, oh, this is how this person did this painting from start to finish. And it's like, okay, this is how they started. Let me just scroll to the end and see how it's done. I don't really care about the time lapse. That's a waste of time, but that's how everyone is.
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to get to the next one, one.
Yeah, it's funny, man. I got my first lead off of social media on Instagram not too long ago. I've put, hours and hours and hours of work into curating, Instagram, Facebook, all these other things. And it's only gotten me one lead. It's a good way to show your portfolio and things like that.
Right.
But I've only gotten one lead ever, and I still haven't even done the shoot yet. It's just like someone reached out to me and says, hey, I like your stuff. I want to do a shoot for you. And I was like, okay, cool.
Well, I originally reached out to you because I just randomly started getting emails from you.
Oh, yeah. Well,
randomly. I was just like, who the hell is Good Bones Photography and why do they keep emailing me? It's like, I've never even had a conversation with this person before.
Yeah.
But now look where we are. Look at us now. Look at us.
Yeah, man. Being an intel analyst for a long time, that's how I started my business, right? I looked at it as in the military intelligence, you have a whole different tool sets of how to approach problems and solve different things, right? And so what I did was I took that mindset and I applied it to, okay, how do I create a business that would meet needs of people, but also be different than your run-of-the-mill photography thing, and how do I kind of just establish myself, right? And so there was two different things that I did, two different approaches to that. One was mass emails to everybody, right? Just to get your name out there. And then the other one was open houses, man.
How did you get everyone's email address?
The NOMAR list.
Okay.
I got a hold of the NOMAR list and I sent out emails.
Well done.
Yeah. I mean, look, I found it just kind of happened. Like somebody gave it to me. And I was like, oh, is this is all the real estate agents in area? And they were like, yeah. So, I just kind of blasted it out.
Okay, thanks.
Well, what I had done before was I was trying to, you can get web crawlers out there. Like I paid some guy from India off of
Fiverr or something.
Fiverr, yeah, to crawl the web and get all the real estate agents, right? But you don't get their email addresses. You just get their names.
Right.
And
that's the one thing that's very difficult to get, especially as somebody who can do that on my end, as far as getting phone numbers and people's information and stuff like that. Because as realtors, we have tax records and documents that we can go through and get all that stuff. But yeah, emails are always the most difficult thing. And that's why, it blows my mind that every time I feel like I get a new spam email, it's like, how the hell did this person get my email? I can't even get emails. I don't understand.
That's funny. Well, that's how I got it. But man, I mean, there's so many different ways to do that from a technological standpoint of like purchasing people's data and things like that. I used to do that at Homeland Security and stuff.
Just purchase people's data?
So
what, on the government's dime? You're like, oh, buying this data.
So there's a thing called open source, and then there's
I've heard of open
intel,
source.
right? So open source is what you can crawl on the web and get and things like that. And then the classified stuff is, tactics and methods and things like that you can't really go into.
Right.
Whatever's public
Not trying
knowledge.
to get you in trouble.
No, trust me, I am very well versed in that because the counter narcotics world was interesting. Let's just say, like, you have two different lanes. You have like law enforcement lane and then the military intelligence, and like you have to. I'm very good at separating.
You have to navigate.
Yeah, I'm very good at separating and compartmentalizing what I can and can't talk about. But so I mean, it's so getting that emailing list and then sending it out, that got me a couple of leads. Getting out and going to open houses. So I would go to broker tours and then I would hand out flyers, right? And dude, that was way better at getting marketing than the email list. I got a couple of leads, but man, like the majority of my clients came from me going in, introducing myself, sitting down, having that 3-minute conversation,
face to face,
being personable with them, and then, leaving them with something tangible in their hands that they could, either, even when they went to throw it away later, they would still see it.
Yeah.
The
worst type of marketing is text marketing. always.
Oh, yeah.
Like whether it's text messages or emails, like, best of course is always face to face, and then phone calls, and then, FaceTiming. Like I FaceTime my clients all the time. You know what I mean? Like, cause I want you to see my face when I'm talking to you, you know what I mean? And,
absolutely.
And, when I get in front of people in listing appointments, it's like, I'm always better in front of you.
Yeah, of course.
So.
Well, you lose a lot of, tone and like, just the meaning behind it when you're looking at text.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because
text can be misinterpreted all the time.
Big time.
Yeah.
Right? When someone says I'm fine, they can mean, I'm fine, like I'm doing good, or I'm fine.
I'm about to throw myself off a bridge.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's all kinds of different
I'm fine means a lot
interpretations. Exactly.
How do you stay true to yourself in a business where there's so much pressure to conform to the norms, to what's trendy?
Ooh, good question, man. Okay, so the way that I look at it is, so for me, I'm providing a service to real estate agents,
Mm-hmm.
right? And those agents are trying to sell a house, right? So what I do is I separate myself from what I'm doing and try to think about it from a buyer's perspective,
Yes.
right? What is that buyer looking for?
Right.
What are they trying to do there, right? And what's really funny is what I follow recently on Reddit is a bunch of videographers. And on Reddit, they have like these real estate videos, and these guys are doing super trendy listings and things like that. But the funny comments from everybody online is that, you can do all these cool transitions and things like that, but unless you're showing the house,
right,
you're not selling the product that you're trying to sell. You're selling
a gimmick.
A gimmicky kind of thing, right? And it's good for clicks and likes, but it's not going to sell the house. Right. So all these trends and things like that, what works and what doesn't, and then, just try and keep it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, like, I don't want to create content that is gimmicky or anything like that.
Right.
I just want to take fun pictures and sell houses, man.
But there's also a difference in it being gimmicky and working and relevant to the situation, like the cottage core thing that we shot, right? Because it was necessary. It was something that was trendy, and we did that video shoot that way, which ended up coming out really great, by the way. And my client was super excited with it, showed it to all her people at work and everything, But,
Well, so that was one that I feel like it showed the house,
mm-hmm.
and it was also like kind of trending, but at the same point it was very niche, right?
Yes,
so and it was authentic to that house,
right?
You know what I mean? I will always ask this question: hey, what's your favorite part about the house? What do you think is going to sell the house?
Right.
And I feel like a lot of the content that we create off of that really is what I'm going to try and focus on after that, right? I mean, all the how you get there is kind of irrelevant. Like that house we shot with the cottage, it was a great house. It was very well decorated. It was a cottage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I was like, okay, well, what kind of cottage stuff is out there? And so you just kind of keep it within the lanes of what it is.
Right.
You know what I mean? And those opportunities always present themselves, I feel like. You know what I mean? You're looking for a solution, and it's out there.
Yeah.
You just got to figure it out. But
then you have the ones that don't work, like the X-Men one that we did. Like for the people who don't know, we did some crazy X-Men video where like I dressed up as Wolverine and Beast and all of them, Cyclops, and we did this video shoot inside a house. Now we showed the house, okay, but at the same time, the video didn't do as well as I thought it was going to do.
Yeah, we were trying real hard on that.
We were trying a little too hard. I just had that idea, and I was like, this would be so great. Deadpool and Wolverine's coming out. Let's do this. And it didn't go as good as we could. But I mean, that's just the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, you
can't have a hit every time.
Michael Scott says you miss 100% of the shots you never take.
That's right. Michael Scott.
You know what? That's honestly great advice, because I don't know how many times where I've been like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this or not, and then you try it, and it works out like great in your favor, right? Sometimes things just happen like that, and if you don't try it, you never know. How
does authenticity play into your relationship with your clients? Like being your true self and not trying to be a different person. How does that really impact your business for the better? I guess is that.
Sure.
I ask that question.
If you ask me a question, I'm going to give you my opinion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My honest opinion. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to
tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear, right? Because from my background like if you tell, if you have a bit of information, intel,
Mm-hmm.
and you tell somebody something that they want to hear versus what the truth is, people die. Or, the wrong people get arrested.
Right.
Or you miss, an opportunity to, bust a ton of drugs, literally. So, like I won't tell people, hey, I think your house is great. I'll be like, hey, I think there's tact, right? So there's a different way to say it, right? Like I can be like, hey, I don't think that your house is going to, market the best in this way. So whenever I do that, I try to find a solution for them as well, right? You can't just shoot someone down without a solution.
Yeah.
Usually I try to say, maybe that's
this house is shit. I'm not shooting it.
Right. I'll never say that, but I will tell people, be like, hey, this is an investment property and I'm going to do my best.
Yeah.
But I want you to have realistic expectations, right? So it's having tact with telling people bad news. And that's kind of a skill that I learned a long time ago. You can tell people the truth. A lot of times people can handle the truth, but you got to give it to them on a silver platter sometimes. And so that way they're not like, disappointed with your opinions on it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, there's always tact. You can always come at people with, bad news in a good way. But again, like I want people to understand the expectations of what I'm going to provide for them.
Yeah.
And the other side of it is like, what you see is what you get.
Right.
I don't have any ulterior motives. I'm not trying to, I won't, if I have a chance to upsell somebody, I won't do it. Unless I think it's going to benefit their house. Right.
Yeah.
Because I don't want people to, buy products that they're not going to use.
Right.
Right. I don't want people, I don't want to be that guy.
You're not a
right?
mechanic. You're a photographer.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fine. Like the oil change guys.
Need a new air filter. Need new windshield wipers. Need this. Need that. Do I really? I was like, no, you don't really need it.
Yeah. And so I don't want to be that guy, right?
Yeah.
It's like now that I'm retired, I have a little bit of extra income from the VA
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So I mean, I'm not gonna sell people on that just for a couple extra bucks here and there. Like it's not worth it. I look at it as a long-term thing, right? Like if I provide you with good information, like, hey, I think this product would work better for you over this one, and you're going to use me again in the future once you sell that house.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
because they'll be like, thank you for that idea and being honest with me. Like, obviously, you're not trying to screw me. And so, that's that level of trust. That's that relationship. You're building it.
What's really hard for being authentic, though, is there's been houses I've gone to. I think maybe we've had one of these before where we'll go to a house and something happens, I get distracted, or we have a good conversation or something goes on and I miss a room and I didn't shoot like a bathroom or something. And I have to, later on that afternoon or evening, I'm editing and I'm like, I gotta do the hard thing, right? That's what my wife and I say, you gotta do the hard things.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta call that agent and be like, hey, I missed a bathroom. I have to go back and reshoot this, right? And what's really funny is as much as it's so hard to admit your failures and your misgivings or whatever, the agents on the other end, like my clients, are so appreciative of that.
Yeah.
I mean, they may be angry, like, hey, yeah, it really sucks you got to go bother my clients to, go back in the house or whatever. But at the same point, they really appreciate the open honesty with it. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, because if you would have just sent them the package and it wouldn't have had the picture, they'd be like, oh, well, guess they just didn't take a picture of that. And,
yeah. So I've had that happen too, where I missed it and I forgot or things like that. I mean, I'm human. I'm fallible.
Yeah, we all are.
I've been hit in the head a few times.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's just one of those things that you just got to own up to your mistakes and, be open and honest about it. If you're not, and you try to sugarcoat it or talk around it, people will see right through that.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's people can feel when you're being truthful and honest, and people can understand when you're not.
Absolutely. People see through that stuff. I can tell now, because, I'm guilty of doom scrolling sometimes for content. I can tell when someone is being authentic, or I can tell when something is staged or...
So I think another good example is reality TV, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can tell when that stuff is scripted and when it's not.
Correct.
And people still like to see it. But when something is genuine, I feel like it gets so much more popular and it's so much more, enjoyable to consume. Like, oh, a great example is like Zillow Gone Wild and all of those other real estate videos and TV shows out there
Yeah.
that are so scripted. I have a friend of mine in DC when I lived there. They were on House Hunters, and that stuff was so scripted. And they were telling me behind the scenes, they were like, "Yeah, man, like we were already under contract by the time that we had started filming, and so they wanted to take advantage of that and then go view other houses and stuff like that." And it was like, all of it was so scripted, and the fact of like, "Oh, here's our budget, here's what we're doing." They were already negotiating under contract, right?
Here's Jamie. She is a pet artist, and here's Dan. He is a lizard farmer. Budget $1.5 million.
What? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's so obvious, but people still like. So that's the thing. I find there's like an inverse thing, right? This is why vloggers work, I think, right? If you don't have professional level production and you don't have like professional level videography and scripting and things like that, right? Like on House Hunters, the other thing that really works is like vloggers who just are themselves and authentic, right? Like, because you can tell when someone's bearing their soul to you and when they're actually talking about their real life and are genuine.
Absolutely.
Right. And
Absolutely.
so I feel like that's kind of where you get it. And then what's really funny is when you get that middle point of not that best production and then somebody who's pushing too hard. And that's when you get the real ick. You know what I mean? And I feel like that just that ends up not working out so well.
Right.
But that's just my opinion. I mean, you can always tell, like,
you can tell. You can tell, and kind of to come back around full circle, it's like, you just have to do, like, you have to throw yourself to the wolves in order to really learn, like you did with the camera, right? You're like, okay, I'm going to take these pictures and I'm just going to learn as I go. But it made you figure it out as you went. And, and then.
Yeah, life is the best teacher of all.
Exactly.
Like, and action always beats inaction, right? So what's really funny is, like, when I go to shoots, and I learned this being on the teams, right, on the SEAL teams.
Yeah.
And I wasn't on a team, but I worked for them. So the way that they did everything was like, you better have a shot, right? It's kind of like a wedding photography, right? Like, if you miss that kiss or you miss, like, the dad dancing with the daughter, like, you'll get sued.
Yeah.
Right. So with these guys, if you're not getting like the action shot, like, and so what I did was I was like, okay, how many pictures can I take on this camera at a time? And you just like shotgun out as many shots as you can. And then, out of 200 shots, I'd pick one that was good. And then I would learn from that. You know what I mean? So it's just like Michael Scott said, you miss all the shots you don't take.
Yeah.
And it's really worked for me, like, it's time consuming, but when you're learning something and you're starting out with something, you got to put in the 10,000 hours in order to become a master.
That's right. I think 1% better every day, in 100 days, you're 100% better.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. I mean, and action always beats inaction.
Yeah.
Always.
Even
if it's just a little bit of action, if you want to go towards a goal, you got to do action, right? It's really funny, man. This is my first business I ever started. This is like the first time I've ever done anything like that. And honestly, I just bet on myself when we moved here. And
you went all in.
I went all in.
Right.
I mean, literally all in.
And I think that's probably the biggest difference with entrepreneurs today is, like, you can't have it as a hobby. You have to be all in on what you want to do, because when you're all in, then failure is not an option. You know what I mean? It's like this is going to work because I'm all in and I don't have another option.
Well, it's the other. There's also a mindset that you have to have of, this is just a setback. So what's really funny is when I was looking at moving to New Orleans, there wasn't a spur of the moment thing. Like, we had, Courtney and I had been coming to New Orleans probably once a quarter, once a month.
Shout out Courtney.
We'd been coming here like once a quarter, once a month, and I love the city. It was, I loved everything about it. And we just met a couple people and be like, hey, how long have you been here? And they'd be like, oh, a year or two. And then I saw someone talking about their journey of moving to New Orleans online during COVID. And they were saying, hey, you just got to look at it as every time you get a hurdle in the way, it's just a setback, right? Like, if you want to get to your destination and you have a breakdown, like your car or whatever, it's just a setback, right? You'll get there if you want to get there.
Right.
You just have to have the mindset of, I'm going there, and whatever happens is a learning experience, and I'm gonna, walk around it.
That's right. If you
Um,
fail or if you fall, then just fall forward and just keep going.
Yeah, like failures are the best learning
That's right.
experience.
100%.
Yeah, that's funny. When I would go to those open houses and like shake hands and stuff like that, I feel like sometimes Courtney would tell me that I had the scent of desperation on me, right? Because I wanted everything to be like that rather than, just relaxing and pitching it or not, because you're not going to get every client.
Right.
And it's a numbers game of, if I went and visited 80 open houses, I would get maybe 10, so it's like just putting in the work.
Yep.
And also still realizing that, this is still better than a 9-to-5 or
right.
sitting in a cubicle that I had done before, so it's kind of just being present, being mindful, and then putting in that work and thinking everything is a setback, man. Because in the end, like, what's really crazy is I did the math this summer, and in the last 3 years, I've done over 1,500 photo shoots.
Wow.
Like, I mean, like, what's really funny is I've started training a couple other photographers and stuff like that. Like, not like, some of them I've had like come with me to a photo shoot.
Mm-hmm.
One guy like hired me to shoot his house and then was like, hey, teach me how to do all this. And I was like, okay. Cool. Well, I mean, that's the thing, right? Is like, I don't look at it as competition. I look at it as, if you want to do the same thing that I do, you're never going to emulate me. Right. So this is another thing with authenticity. And I think I've told you this before, is that don't try to be like someone else, right? If that guy wants to be like me, I don't know if he could out hustle me. Like, I don't know if he could outthink me. I mean, maybe he could, maybe he couldn't, but at the same point, like, he's never going to be me. He doesn't have the life experiences that I do. Right. I don't have the life experiences he does. And so what I told him, I was like, hey man, like, here's the physical motions that you have to go through in order to be a real estate photographer. But at the end of the day, like, you're selling yourself, and then you're selling your authenticity at the end, right? Like, if you could outshoot me, out hustle me, then, it's yours, man. Right. like feel free, like, you can have that client. But
well, it's the same for realtors too. there's thousands of realtors in the city, but at the same time, there's enough houses for everyone. Yeah. And I'm not going to, action. I'm going to take action every day, all day. And I'm going to make sure that I get my market share of listings that I need to get, because I'm going to hustle. Yeah. And so that's why I don't mind coaching all these agents and really helping all these people to be better, because I know I'm going to get mine, because I'm always a person that can sit still.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, there's not, and I've told people this before, is there's not really competition, right? Yes. There's so much, if there's two different mindsets. You can have a scarcity mindset or an abundance mindset.
Yep.
And if you have a scarcity mindset of, I have to get, mine before I can let anyone else have it. Yep. Like, I have to have my rice bowl, and I'm the only one that can eat out of this.
Yeah.
Or the mindset of, hey man, like, have some of mine. Like, there's plenty to go around. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the energy. That's the frequencies. That's like, everything that is our reality that makes it all up. Whatever thought process that you have, like, that is what is kind of trickling through your brain out of your head into, well, that's my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree.
So like, you're just sitting here thinking, I'm worried about this person. I don't want to share what I have, and for them to take that, and it's going to take something from me. Then you're really inhibiting, like, your reality. You're making yourself scarce. You're making what you are attracting to yourself scarce, rather than, there's plenty, I'm going to share with everyone, and then everything's going to come back to me.
There's kind of an old school mindset that I've seen. I was on a boys trip to Florida one time, mm-hmm. and kind of the older guys that were on the trip with me, one of them was saying that there's no man except for your father wants to see you do better than they are.
Yeah.
And then the younger guys that were there, and I was one of the younger ones, surprisingly, our mindset was that No, dude. Like, I want all of my boys, all of my friends, everybody to do as well or better than me,
Right.
right? Like, I feel like that type of mentality of like your success doesn't take away from my success.
Right.
If you become the number one podcaster out there and you sell all the houses and all that, like that's awesome. That's good for you. Like I'm happy for you, right? Like that doesn't take away from anything that I'm doing over here.
Right.
Like we have completely different like everything. Like yeah, man, it's just kind of funny, like that mindset of like wanting other people not to do well so that way you can do well is just, it's not the mindset to have anymore.
It's not.
I feel like that's it's an old way of thinking, I think.
Yeah, a lot of the old ways of thinking are getting tossed, you know.
Yeah, I think that there's a big
mindset shift as a whole, I think.
Yeah, across like the the zeitgeist is?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that the zeitgeist is really shifting on what people are seeing, right? Like
well, it's supposed to be like a golden age. We're supposed to be in the age of Aquarius, right? We're in the age of enlightenment. Like that is what is happening, and I feel like I can feel it inside of me that it's happening. It's kind of strange to describe, but I can feel the energy shifting just within me about reality. Does that make sense?
No, 100%. Yeah, man. There's definitely a big shift going on in the world that you can see, right? I mean, I followed geopolitics for a long time, right? At the highest levels.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was tuned in to everything that was going on. And I mean, you can really see it shifting. Now what's causing that shift, who knows?
Right.
But, you can definitely tell that people are, I hate to say this term, waking up, but you can definitely tell that people are seeing through a lot of the propaganda that's out there and a lot of seeing.
Well, there sure is a lot of it. There sure is a lot of it. Okay. Like you can now turn on the TV and get the opinions that you want to hear as far as the media goes, right? You have left and right channels with Fox and CNN. So whichever opinions you want to hear, you can turn that on and fuel your mentality rather than seeing everyone's opinions and formulating your own. And I think that's a big problem that's going on right now.
If you want an echo chamber, it's easy to find.
Yeah, just go talk into a mirror.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's just, if you want to hear your opinion, it's out there.
Yeah.
Right? It's really funny, man, is like, I would brief higher ups at the Pentagon, right? I figured this out a long time ago. Like, man, what year was that? 2010, 2011. Like, I briefed somebody super high up on a situation, right? And then I saw the press conference very shortly after that. And the press conference was not quite the same. I could tell that they spun it. And from that point on, I was like, oh, the news is like skewed. It's not just like skewed a little bit left or right. It's skewed to, I mean, what's that term? Like, create the narrative in order to make everyone look better or worse or whatever, right? And then I was like,
not authentic.
No, not authentic at all.
At all.
Like even a little bit. But again, it was super well produced, right? So people were buying into it and people were looking at it, right?
Oh, well, back in the day, the traditional thing was you watch the news because that's how you get the news, right? Like
or printed news, which is even more curated.
Just like we said, you can't really dictate opinions and what things mean in text messages. It's kind of the same with an opinion piece in the newspaper, right? It's like you're reading that, you're not really sure. You can misread how that goes, but at the same time, back in the day, when there was no phones, no social media or anything, people would watch the news to get the news and they believed it, and so all of those older people, all the boomers and
Walter
Generation
Cronkite
X
only told the truth, man.
all of them. Yeah, of course he did. But that's what is the issue, because there's so much news that is just being put on this pedestal that is completely false on both sides, and people are just absorbing, and it's all formulating their opinions for them instead of letting them look at both sides and determine their own opinion on it.
Yeah, what's really funny is I have a conversation with one of my buddies all the time, and he and I bounce these things off of each other because he comes from a very different background than I do. He was a EMT. He was homeless at one point, recovering addict. I mean, he's lived a life, right? A hard life. And I value his opinion because of those things, right? He has just completely different life experiences than me. And he's open-minded to have these conversations, right? And so what we've really come to look at and see is that I don't think there's a left and right, right? There's just there's two wings of the same bird, right? Like there's just.
But a bird has a left and a right wing.
Sure,
Ben.
but it's the same bird. They just did a study not too long ago. We can look it up later or whatever, but the study basically said, what is the popular opinion, and then what is the probability of that opinion or what the popular want is, and that becoming a law. And it was not correlated at all, right? So essentially what it was is if the popular opinion was this law needs to be passed or not, it had nothing to do with whether or not the law got passed. And they did that study over the last 15, 16 years. And what it did have correlation with was lobbyists and who is spending more money like that. Right. It was really funny as my mom, when I was a kid, she would tell me, this was in the 90s, right? She would tell me, she's like, the worst people in the government are the lobbyists. And I was like, what is a lobbyist? What are you even talking about? And now, looking at it now, I lived with a lobbyist in DC for a little while. Dude, it was wild, man. The stuff that he would tell me that people do. It's crazy. And I think my mom was right. Once you get to a point where the popular opinion is not being implemented, not necessarily a popular opinion, but the popular movements and whatnot, right? They're you're just gonna get a divide there, and that delta is really what foments a lot of unrest, and people are seeing that, right? You can see the difference between what is planned narratives and what's not, right? I mean, you see it all the time.
And I can also tell the difference in someone who's brainwashed and someone who formulates their own opinion.
Yeah.
You can just have an easy conversation with someone and be like, oh, this person just believes is gullible. They just.
Right. But you also got to give them a little bit of grace, right? Because we all come from that same programming.
Yep.
Right. I mean, you got to think about it.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah. I feel like, you gotta meet people where they're at.
Yeah.
Right. And you can't just expect them to be as open-minded as everyone else, because they don't have that same experiences as you. That's why I like bouncing stuff off my buddy, because, I'll be like, hey man, I was thinking about this way, and he would come at it from a completely different angle.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you got to think about it, man. For instance, the boomers, right? They grew up with leaded gas. What's so funny is I have this one family member, and he's like, man, if we could only get back to leaded gas, it'd be so much better. And I'm like, dude, leaded gas polluted the environment and ruined people left and right, and it's a seriously terrible thing. And he was like, yeah, but it's the best. And I'm like, okay, man, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's but they were taught that leaded gas is the best thing for them, right? And so you got to think about it. If you're told that from birth that this is the way that the world is, and somebody comes at it from a different angle, they're gonna
well, that's with racism and everything, right? Because that's what you grew up with. That is within the household that you grew up. That was the opinions like people would share racist opinions,
dude.
And it's because that's what they were taught when they grew up, which is why it's still such a problem, because that traditional way of thinking that is absolutely false is just still to this day being
dude, what's so crazy, so I was a white conservative guy who went to a conservative college, who went to church all the time, and then I got in the Navy.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in charge of 40 so graduated college, and a month later I was on deployment.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, this was 2005, and we were in Iraq, Afghanistan, all these other things, stuff was going down, and I was in charge of all of these low-income sailors, half of which were people of color.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know anything about anything. And what's really funny is you just change your whole mindset, because everything that I was taught, it's the Saudi guy, the Saudi ship CO. Once I went over to their ship, at first I was like, oh man, they're Saudi, they're not going to speak English, it's going to be all this. And then I found out the guy lived like a couple miles from me, like where I was, my wife and kids were at the time, you know.
You assumed the situation before you even got there, and you formulated your own mind.
100%, right? And what's really funny is like I changed my complete mindset of being like, you know, fairly racist, because that's how like you just grew up in that type of environment in small town Texas and stuff like that. And then you get in the Navy and you're like, oh, it's not anything like that. And now, like, you know, you just kind of expand your horizons. And if you really want to like defeat racism, I would say just have people travel outside of the United States, right? Like, what's really funny is I was having a conversation with that Saudi commanding officer, and it was a very tumultuous time back in like 2006, because there was a lot of anti-Muslim rhetoric out there, and a lot of, you know, patriotism, because, you know, we were in two different wars at the same time, right? And I'm looking at this guy, and I have a degree in anthropology where, you know, you try to study everyone from an objective standpoint, right? And I'm looking at this, trying to step back from my own personal opinions and my own rose-colored glasses of how the United States is and everything. And, you know, this guy, and we're talking about it, and everybody just wants the same thing. They want better for their kids than they had. Yeah. You know? And once I realized that, like, it shifted my entire mindset of, you know, us versus them. There is no them. There is only us. Yep. You know what I mean?
And I think everyone, and I would say after, probably starting at Generation X and after, everyone who is a parent probably has that same mentality. Like, I want to provide better for my kids than when I grew up, right? Like, that's almost like I got to make sure that X, Y, and Z that my parents did that was wrong, even though they were all just trying to make it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you always want your kids to do better than you do. And you also have to accept that, you know, what's really funny is the boomers and everyone else, you know, I went through a lot of therapy, man. And one of the things that that therapy taught me was that it's their first life too. You know what I mean? They're just doing the best that they can. And, you know, whether or not they made mistakes or things like that, you've got to be able to give them the grace in order to live their first life. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, they may not be, they don't necessarily mean ill will towards everyone. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But you have to be able to allow them to make mistakes, and allow them to come at it from their first perspective. Right. You know what I mean? My youngest daughter said something to me the other day, and it blew my mind. She's so smart and so...
How old is your youngest daughter?
She's 14. She just started freshman in high school. And she says, yeah, I get it, Dad. It's your first life, too. And I was like... Ooh. I was like, oh, so humbling and like, oh my gosh. I was like, dude, like, you're killing me, kid. Yeah. You know, and it's just that thing, like, she realized at a young age that I make mistakes all the time, you know, and I'm not perfect. And and you can't expect the older generations to be perfect too, because they had their programming, they had their, all those other things, and they're just, it's just the outcome of the system, man. Yeah. And I feel like nowadays there's no way for the system to hide itself. Does that make sense? That's that's what the shift in the zeitgeist is kind of being. What's really funny is I feel like I can see this shift happening is it goes from somebody trying to control the narrative to compartmentalizing the narrative and putting it into algorithms out to different people, right? Does that make sense?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I'll try and expand on this. But what you can see is that, you know, a certain story might not hit your algorithm because you have a different political opinion than I do. Okay. Right? I mean, it's hypothetical, right?
Just because of what I normally look at, you don't normally look at, so the algorithm puts it in front of you.
Right. Mm-hmm. So you're not going to see the same things that I see, right? For instance, I pay real close attention to cartel stuff, right? So I have a lot of feed like that, but I see like cartel stuff all the time, right? And my buddies feed that to me, right? So it gets into my algorithm. Those kinds of stories will hit my feed, but not your feed. And so you may not be aware of it, right? And so what happens is rather than controlling the entire narrative, what they've done is your algorithms are breaking it down into little tiny echo chambers, like we were talking about, but also dividing up people into us versus them as much as possible. Right. And what's really funny is there is no us versus them, man. It's all it's like racism, right? Like that's a thing of the past, man.
Yeah.
Like poor people are poor people, rich people are rich people. You know what I'm saying? Like
That's the real division, honestly. Rich and poor.
I think that it's more than rich and poor because you have good rich people. You know what I mean? Like there are
I'm not saying all rich people are bad. I'm just saying that's
Right.
really what.
I think it's more of the people that use their wealth to control other people.
Yeah.
That's really what's really kind of gross.
Yeah.
Right.
Agreed.
You have actually philanthropic people who are out there doing good, you know, and then you have people that are not. So Hurricane, which one hit?
Ida?
Which one hit Houston?
I don't remember. I don't remember the
so
name.
there's a hurricane that hit Houston.
I could tell you everyone that's hit here. I have no idea about Houston.
2017. I was sitting in San Antonio. I had just gotten there, so like 2017, maybe early 2018. And mattress Jack, I think is his name, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He had a mattress store, and there's all these homeless people that lost their houses. They got kicked out of their house because it was flooding in Houston. Well, he opened up his doors and let everybody sleep on all his mattresses inside his warehouse, right? And he took a huge hit to his business.
Yeah.
But on the back end, now he has like tons of loyal customers, right?
For sure.
That's somebody using their wealth for good.
Right.
And also like benefiting from it, right? Like, and he's a small business. He's not like Mattress Outlet or, you know, those other stores, right? And then you see on the other end, like, and I hate to slander this, but I think it's pretty public, is Joel Osteen.
Yep.
Right? Like he closed all his doors because he had just put new carpet in and he wasn't allowing people to come into his, you know, giant mega church that he had, right? And so like I feel like there's both of those guys are probably fairly well off, right? One uses their wealth for philanthropic stuff.
Joel Osteen's very well off.
Yeah, I
mean,
extremely
well off.
Yeah, I don't think they're even in the same ballpark, the tax bracket, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like one of them, and you can use your wealth towards good, right? You don't have to use it towards anything bad. And I think that people that use that to control other people is really the sickness that is infecting the zeitgeist at the moment.
Well, you know what I mean? I agree with you, but it's a tale as old as time. You know, I mean, you go all the way back to Egypt, where it's just power and gold and money or money, whatever they had for money back then. You know, everything is what the pharaohs have. They have it. Then you have the peasants, the rich and the poor. They are divided, and I can feel it shifting. I don't know if it's going to completely shift during my lifetime, but I hope it shifts for the better for my daughter. That's all I know. Yeah. You know, and just
that's all we can really hope for is a better life for our kids.
That's it. That's all it is. You know, it's so funny because when you put it into perspective, when you have a kid, it's like, you know, you hear from everyone, oh, your life just changes so much once you have a kid. And it's like, you don't really understand. It's so stereotypical, but you don't understand until you're holding that kid. Because then you're like, okay, my life isn't my life anymore. Like now I'm living my life for this tiny human that I need to make sure, number one, survives. And number two, it, you know, gets on a good life path. Because as we've experienced throughout life, as I know you have, I know I have, like a lot of people go down the wrong path. A lot of people go down a dark path. A lot of people turn themselves into just a completely distant version than what they were supposed to end up being in this life. And it weighs on me worrying about just making sure I'm doing such a good job raising her. But I'm also winging it as much as I can, you know.
It's your first life too, man.
That's it. Yes.
Just kind of gotta do the best that you can.
It's my first life. I like that. I'm gonna remember that. You know, you've said it a couple times, and it's true. You know, give yourself some grace.
And I hate to say this too, but I mean, you only get one life, right?
Yeah.
It's YOLO, man.
Well, in this one, in this one, because I think that our soul has probably been lived different lives.
Dude, have you? Okay, me and my buddy talk about this all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and he has some stories. Kids under the age of like 5 to 7,
mm-hmm.
Sometimes they talk about their previous lives.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's not just like one or two instances of this. There's like thousands, and thousands
mm-hmm.
of times where kids will talk about previous lives and stuff like that. And there's also been murders solved by kids being able to explain like what happened, and then they dig up in this spot and that's where the body was, and they can tie it right back to the guy that did it. Like, I mean, there's been cold cases that have been solved because, you know,
like the clairvoyant medium kids or people like found the looked into the other.
No, not clairvoyant. It's the kid talks about it in a way of like, I was killed by this man.
Oh,
This man looks like this. And it's like a 3-year-old,
mm-hmm.
right? And then you look at the back of their head. Like, for instance, there's one I remember distinctly, is that the kid was like, I got hit in the back of the head with an axe. And you look at the back of the head, and they have a big birthmark there, right? And then they're like, and my body's in this area. And it was like 150 miles away. There's no way that this kid ever went to this area. There's no way this kid would ever have that type of information about that.
Right.
And then they're like, and the guy's name was Frank or Bill or whatever it was. And then they go, and the owner of the property was there. They dig in that spot, and there's a body, and the guy admits that he did it. You know what I mean? And there's not like 1 or 2 incidents.
How do you explain that? How do you explain something like that? You can't.
I don't know, man.
You can't explain it. The only explanation of that is that there really are different planes of existence. Like, some people can tap into it, some people can't. Everything is energy, everything is frequency, and like, we don't even know the half of it. That's the only real explanation that there can be.
Yeah, I mean the possibilities are endless.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like, look at the MCU, right?
Mm-hmm.
Marvel Comics universe. If you have that multiverse, and that's one way of looking at it, like, the possibilities are endless. That's of right. What could be and what can happen. And so, I don't know, man. But that kind of thing, like, that keeps me up at night, like, knowing that, little kids under the age of 5 can remember past lives. Yeah. And you can like Google that and like see like tons of testimonials. You know what I mean?
Well, I know what I'm doing tonight.
What, you gonna ask your kid?
I'm gonna go. No. Well, so she said a couple things here and there, like, "Oh, well, I've done this, I've done that," and it's just been, in one ear and out the other. But it hasn't really been.
Lean into it, man. Ask her a little more pointed questions.
She just turned 5. Just turned 5. So I'll try to talk to her about that and see if I can get anything out of her. I'll let you know.
Yeah, I mean, just listen to her. You know what I mean? Like, actively listen. And I don't know. One of the things I do with my kids is I treat them like adults, right? As mentally,
mm-hmm.
right? Because their cognitive abilities are fairly similar to yours. They just don't have the life experience behind it.
Correct.
Right? So, like, when I talk to my kids, I'm like, hey, what do you think about X, Y, and Z? And I'll ask their opinions on different things.
Yeah.
Right? I'm trying to treat them like,
Well, your kid's speech develops so much better when you do that too. When you talk to them normally.
Yeah.
Like when you're just actually trying to have a conversation, and I've noticed that with Zoe too, because I do the same thing. I just try to, I have conversations with her about aliens. I have conversations with her about the pyramids. She doesn't understand, but then I'll show her a picture and I'll be like, oh, here's the pyramids. They just said that maybe the pyramids were found by the Egyptians and they were not built by the Egyptians. And she don't know what the heck I'm talking about. You know what I mean? But at the same time, like, I want her mind to be open about these things because I've gone down the rabbit hole quite a lot on it. And I love talking about it too. So, like, I want her to be interested in those things too. And so she's just very fluent in her speech. And I think it's all because we've always just talked to her that way, just nonchalantly and casually.
I mean, I feel like, and it's a good life lesson, right? Like, I don't know, man. I feel like the old mentality of kids should be seen and not heard.
Yes.
It really stifles growth.
It
It puts a lot of limiting beliefs on you, right? So that's the other thing that, I try to do this with my kids, but society does such a hard job of instilling those limiting beliefs of, if you want to do it, you can do it.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if you want, like, for me, like, I wanted to be a photographer, and so I figured out a way to do it. You know what I mean? And then you just work that 1% until you get there.
Yeah.
And, don't let anybody tell you you're not. I remember the first time that I told somebody I'm a professional photographer. It felt so weird.
Imposter syndrome?
So much imposter syndrome.
Yeah, you're like, I'm a photographer?
But at the same point, like, if I wasn't saying that, then I wasn't going to be successful.
Right. You had to get your mindset as, this is who I am now. This is what I'm doing with my life. I'm stepping in these shoes. This is who I am.
Right. And then you have to believe it.
Yeah.
You have to believe it. Otherwise, you're not going to be authentic.
Imagine me coming from being a touring musician to being a realtor. Okay.
Yeah, man.
Like, transition overload, right? It's like, okay, I'm now going from wearing cutoff shirts and, being up all night to where I'm working hard all day and I need to dress nice and I need to be presentable and I need to know what I'm talking about this completely different life change, this entrepreneurship, and just so dramatically different. But I felt that imposter syndrome when I first started too. It's just like, this is what I'm doing. And it felt awkward promoting myself.
Of course.
You know?
Yeah, it always feels awkward promoting yourself, right? Because we're taught from a young age to,
don't embarrass yourself.
well, it's not even just not embarrassing yourself. It's
Embarrass your
don't
parents.
brag about yourself, right? Like be small,
Right.
don't take up space.
Be humble.
And to a certain degree, like sometimes you should be humble and sometimes you are just a normal person, right?
Yeah.
So what's really wild is I have been in the rooms where decisions have been made and people at the highest levels are all just normal people, right? Okay, I'm sitting at the Pentagon.
What, just normal people with more experience than the people that are under them, kind of?
Not even necessarily that.
Okay.
Like you're putting him on a pedestal.
Oh.
Like even thinking that, right? So I'm briefing this 2-star general,
Mm-hmm.
right, on the nuclear reactors at Fukushima, right? I mean, we are at like PhD level nuclear physics that I'm trying to brief to him from my perspective, right? So I had somebody in what I used to call a nerdery teach me how to break it down for the decision makers.
Nerdery.
Yeah. I mean, I had a team of nuclear physicists that would help me create a PowerPoint and then provide it to the decision makers, right? Cool. So like the SecDef and the...
God, I can't even imagine how much you must have absorbed and like learned from that.
Dude, I know all kinds of random shit.
That's awesome.
So anyways, like I'm talking to him, right? And then his wife calls. Right? We're in a very classified briefing and he says, all right, pause. My wife's on the phone. And he paused. And this is like one of the coolest things. He picks up the phone and they just start talking about like dry cleaning and dinner and stuff like that. And it's a 5-minute conversation, right? But the guy is just a normal dude, right? And he's like, I don't know what I want to eat for dinner. Can you pick up dry cleaning? I need to have like my suit ready for a meeting, and stuff like that. And like what you don't realize is that everybody does their laundry, right? Everybody washes dishes. Everybody takes the trash out. They're all normal people, right? I like to think about it that way sometimes when I put somebody on a pedestal and I'm like, I bet that guy has to wash his own dishes sometimes.
Yeah, that's a good thing. That's a good way to look at it.
But at the other side of it is like, Courtney worked pretty high up. She worked for the CEO of a company for a while, right? As an administrative assistant. And she learned a lot while she was doing that. And one of the things is like, she would make executive level decisions because the other person would be asking her opinion on things, right? Hey, where do you think the opinion of this should be going? And that person, it's their first life as well.
Yeah.
Right. So like they may not have the experience of how to work in that realm or not. Nobody knows until you've done it.
Right.
Right. And so if they haven't lived that experience, like they don't know anything about it. Right. And everybody's just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
My favorite thing I ever saw in my life. As a reservist, one of my duty stations was the Pentagon, and it was the Navy watch floor, right? Okay. So people would call and report in things about the Navy, right? So this is literally like the head of the Navy, the chairman of the joint, the CNO, right? The Chief Naval Officer. We worked for him, right? I would make reports for him, so he would have something first thing in the morning. He'd wake up, figure out the status of the Navy and whatnot, right? So we would deal with crises all the time, right? One of the things that happened on my watch was a submarine, Argentinian submarine, went down and like disappeared, and so somebody would call, and we were all just normal officers. Like none of this was our specialty. Nobody has crisis management specialty. In fact, I probably had most of it from some of my training that I've done. And it's all just figuring it out.
Right.
And we had a changing room because nobody wore their uniforms in. When you're standing a watch from like 10 at night till 8 in the morning, like nobody wears a uniform into the Pentagon at 10 at night. And on the back of the door was, it says, don't worry, we're all just trying to figure out how to work too. It was like the same, the mindset of like, you just kind of got to take your life experiences that you have and apply it as best you can to whatever situation you have.
Yeah.
Like, and then move forward.
And then absorb other people who have experienced things that you haven't, that have the answers that you don't, because they figured that out. And then you take that and you internalize it,
Yeah, be open to input so that way you can make a better decision.
For sure.
Always.
For sure. And, to piggyback off of that, I like to say someone's always fighting a battle you know nothing about.
Oh yeah.
So when you meet someone, don't put them on this pedestal, or don't have any kind of opinion about them when you meet them anyway. Just go in, expect anything, and just kind of build from the conversation that you'll have. Don't ever go in assuming one thing or another, because that's just most of the time. I would love to see the ratio of how many times whatever you formulate in your brain actually comes to fruition when you're going into a situation, because I'm sure the numbers are pretty low.
Yeah, man. There's a term called sonder. Have you ever heard of it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things is that, you are nothing but a small portion of that person's life.
Right.
Right. And you don't know anything about their life. Even my own wife, right? Like, I don't know everything about her life. Like,
Neither do I.
I'll never know all of the details of everything
I don't
that
know
she's
if I
ever
want
done.
to know.
But like, like you'll never know all of the different thoughts that person has, right?
Right.
You're just a portion of their life, and they have a completely different like narrative. And if you believe in the simulation, they're the first person player for their own story, right? Like everybody's playing their own game,
and everybody else is an NPC. And I heard something the other day that said that there's a lot of people that are walking around that don't have an internal dialogue in their head. That's mind blowing to me, because my thoughts don't ever stop. So
there's a spectrum. Courtney and I figured this out. This is one of the things that makes me a fantastic photographer and videographer. Do you know what the term mind's eye is?
Yes.
So my wife, she has aphantasia, which means she cannot imagine pictures or videos or anything in her head, right? So she has to narrate everything, right? And she's explained this to me. I'm probably not doing it justice, but if I told someone to close their eyes and say, think of a red apple, right? She would have to narrate, okay, an apple is red. The color red is the same as a stop sign, and there's a stem on it, and there's leaves, and it's roundish, but it has little nubs on the bottom, etc. Right? She would have to narrate all that, and she does it very quickly, right? And she's, functioning adult. Me, on the other hand, I'm the complete opposite, right? I can think of an apple, and I can put it in a 3D picture, and I can rotate it around, and I can shift perspectives, and I can do all kinds of stuff, right? But she can't, and so that's it's interesting, because as we're growing in our relationship and our marriage, like, we are learning more and more about each other, and those deep conversations that we have sometimes about, like, hey, what do you think about this? You know what I mean? Like, we come at things in very different perspectives, and that's some of the reason why is like what you were talking about. Like, a lot of times, like, I don't have an internal monologue per se all the time. Like, I can just turn it off and like just do. But the other times, like, I'm thinking about things very abstractly, and I'll get caught in my head, and I'll just like stare at a wall for a while, and think about, how to do this. And my wife's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I was thinking about stuff.
Yeah. I'm just happen to be thinking about something, but at the same time, you're like turned off here. Yeah. Right. So like you're just blankly staring and thinking, and you're deep in thought. And, being an agent and a problem solver really at heart, like it's all the time. I'll be laying in bed and my mind is just thinking about things that don't even matter. And I'll be thinking of something, and then I'll just completely forget about what I was thinking about. I'm like, what the heck was I even just trying to solve that was irrelevant in my head? All the time.
Yeah. So, I didn't know that people didn't have a mind's eye. And then some people like
people
you were saying, don't have an internal monologue. They just have visualization only.
Right.
Right. And then like they can't think about what they're going to say before they say it.
Yeah, exactly. It's mind blowing how different people are as individuals. Because that's all I assume that everybody was always thinking all the time.
Yeah.
But that's definitely not the case, come to find out.
Yeah, so I think I came across a really cool concept not too long ago, is that every individual person is just the universe experiencing itself for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, if you believe in a higher form of God or whatever, like, that creator is the one that is experiencing itself through you, through me, and we're all it's just the all is coming together through many to become one again.
Yeah.
Right? If you think about the world that way, really takes out that us versus them and puts it all into just us.
Yeah.
There is no them. It is just, we're all part of God. You know what I mean?
Right. God is in the space between spaces and everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Not not an entity, not a being, not anything. It is just everything.
Yeah. If you then take that and extrapolate down onto the simulation theory, like now you've come into the creator.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So now you have a simulation, which is all created by God. That's what kind of blew my mind, and the way that I was thinking about things for a while is that God is the ultimate programmer that has created this matrix that we're all swimming around in.
Yeah. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. You know, I mean, it's like, because we know nothing about anything really on the grand scheme of space, right? Like, we really know nothing. Like black holes, we don't know anything that black hole is.
Yeah.
A black hole may just be a humongous wire that is plugged into something else that we don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
no one knows.
From a physics standpoint, we're only seeing like 0.1 of the electromagnetic spectrum,
Yeah.
right? So you're looking at something along the lines of, we are seeing not even barely a fraction of what's actually out there,
Right.
Between radio frequencies and anything else, like on the light spectrum, right? I mean, the possibilities of are endless as far as physics goes, right?
Yeah.
Like we almost. So I took astrophysics for a little while in college, and all of that stuff is theoretical, like all of it, almost. Even did you know gravity's still a theory?
I did actually. I actually just read something about that. But yeah, go on. Yeah.
Yeah. So Einstein had, had a gravity theory, and then, Newton had a gravity theory, right? And then Einstein changed that, and then it's still just a theory. Nobody's ever proved it. Some people believe, mass is what brings that level of attraction to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Some people think that there's one that I've heard, breaking level physics was rather than electromagnetic spectrum, right? It's just a magnetic spectrum, right? And everything has magnetism to it.
Okay.
Right? So you can create an electromagnet off of a current, right? And every neutron has an electron, and so everything has a charge to it. So everything is magnetism rather than gravity. And what you're seeing there is gravity is nothing more than magnetism.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and so one of the things that within physics that they're really trying to do is the unified field theory.
Okay.
And within that, one of the leading edges of that would be people are saying that there's electromagnetism, and then one of the physicists that I was following, he believes that there's just magnetism, and that makes a lot of sense.
Interesting. Because it's true. Because I mean, we consider magnetism only done with magnets, but if there's some different level of it that keeps everyone.
What do you think? Have you heard of the theory of grounding? Right, like it's a cool saying.
Where you take your shoes off and you walk in the grass.
Yeah,
and you
everybody
ground
go
yourself
touch
with the
grass,
earth.
right? Go sit on a rock, right? Like that. Those whole things of like, why does that make you feel better? Well, because like you have an electric pulse within your body, right? Because you have electrons and neutrons and protons and things like that all in your body, right? So,
like when you get struck by lightning and you're standing in the grass, you have a better chance of survival than you do standing on concrete.
Right? Sure. Yeah, I mean, if your organs don't explode, it's a whole other story.
If they don't.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's the whole theory behind it, right? And you pass electrons. It's the whole thing of you can feel somebody's vibe.
Yeah.
You can feel their frequency.
Oh yeah.
Like you feel their energy, because literally you have an energetic field that is projected from you as either magnetism or electromagnetic field of some sort, right?
Well, and when you stare at someone from long enough, like I'm staring at you now, you can kind of see an aura.
Dude, what's really funny is you can project your... I don't know how to explain this best. Courtney and I do experiments all the time, wherever we go, right? We see if someone can feel us looking at them.
Okay.
Right? So like say we're in a coffee shop and you look at somebody. They have no idea that you're looking at them, right? They can't see you. Like you're looking at their back. But sometimes they'll just turn around and look at you. And you're like, oh. Like...
That's how it is driving in a car. And you come up next to a red light and look next. And then it's like the person feels you. And then
so what's really cool about that is the different situations, like different environments, kind of pick up that animalistic reptilian brain, you want to say, or monkey brain.
Yeah.
As far as like where you're at and how you're paying attention to your environment. The more you pay attention to your environment, like in a car, right, the more attuned you are if somebody's looking at you or not.
Yeah.
Right? If you're relaxed, sitting, chilling, scrolling on your phone in a coffee shop, you're probably not going to notice it.
Right.
But in a car, I see it happen all the time.
Yeah.
Like you look to the left or right, you get the head nod from the dude,
Yeah.
or, I like to smile because I hate road rage, and I like to just give good vibes versus like, hopefully I'm in a good mood that day and I can give a smile and, maybe brighten someone's day versus that. But yeah, I feel like that attunement to your environment really changes like the level of awareness that you have. Yeah.
I 100% agree with that. The law of attraction, everything manifesting, coming to you. I'm going to have to do some reading on this magnetism theory, because that kind of puts everything in place for that. You know what I mean? If you explain it like that, instead of just like, okay, gravity is what's keeping everyone on the ground, then that on all levels might like connect a lot of dots.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can predict gravity, right? You can kind of.
Well, that's like receivers in the NFL, right? You can predict when the ball is going to come down by gauging where on the field you need to be in order to do it. All angles and how gravity works and when the ball's going to come down.
Have you ever heard of the 3-body problem?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was one of the huge things with physics.
I haven't watched the show.
Oh, I haven't watched the show either. It started out way too gory for me.
Oh, okay.
I can't really do gore.
No?
No. So seeing too much.
I was about to say,
yeah, man. I've yeah.
You're good on that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen enough in real life.
That,
That's kind of why I started my photography business.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man. But the 3-body problem, the real physics 3-body problem, is that when you have two celestial bodies, you can predict where they're going to go, right? You can predict let's say this is the sun, this is the earth, right? You can predict where it's going to go all the time, right? And you can predict the pull on the sun from the earth, etc. But when you have a third one in there, like, we can't really predict where all of them are going to go. If they're closer to the same mass on each one of them,
mm-hmm.
then it gets even harder to predict where those are going to go, right? And what's really funny is if you I'm not remembering this fully, but if you change that to magnetism, it may be a little more predictable, or this guy has figured it out with the 3-body problem. I think that's what he was saying on the last. I'll find the video for you.
Yeah.
I'll send it to you so you can do that. But he was saying that he was able to figure out some of the 3-body problem by switching it to magnetism versus just gravity.
Switching up these laws that bound us, right? Switching them up and actually testing them and being like, okay, how true is this real law that everyone believes? But that's how science is supposed to be. You're supposed to
question it.
Yeah, you're supposed to experiment it. You're supposed to question it, because that's how more and more comes to light, and you figure it out. If you just take everything as it is, then what is that? What kind of new solutions are you coming up with then?
Yeah, it's the age-old balance between conservatism and progression.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You stick with what works, but also you need to push the boundaries in order to push forward as a whole.
Yeah.
You can't go too far, because you'll abandon everything that works, and then you're left with nothing.
Right.
Or you can't just stick in the same way. You'll never go anywhere.
Right.
And that system will end up falling as well. So.
Yeah. So back to Good Bones Photography. So for a small business, what marketing methods, like I guess ad running, would you say have been the most profitable to you, gotten you the most exposure? Because I know you said that you paid some good money to have your SEO done really well. So I guess what type of ads and what would you recommend somebody who's just starting out, that's just building the foundation of their business, about to really launch the marketing, should invest into doing, that's going to get them the best return?
Sure. So for me, what worked, and I mean, this is my first time running a business, but what worked for me was pressing the flesh, right? You got to go out and shake hands. that worked at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, requesting those Google reviews, right? Getting those Google reviews and getting feedback,
Yeah.
right? Genuine feedback. Be like, hey, like, please, you're not going to hurt my feelings. You have to be humble, right? As far as like your attachment to things, right? You can't think that everything you do is,
You have to be able to take constructive criticism.
Constructive criticism is you have to be able to
For sure.
adapt in order to overcome.
For sure.
Right. And so I would say do that, right? Get a couple clients, get some feedback, get that. And then from there, what you can do is what worked for me was once I started getting those is I paid for a search engine optimization company that it was pretty expensive. But they put me in the top like page of Google every day. And that's what kind of got me some business. Not all the business that I wanted, but business. And by that, I mean, some of the clients that I got were not what I was hoping for. Like people from out of town and stuff like that, that weren't really exactly my niche that I was looking for, but it was business. It was money, you know, and there's goods and bads with all that. Some of them were great. Some of them were terrible. But that's what worked for me. And then, you know, just scaling that, you know, if you want to put more into that, you can. But again, you gotta think about what clients you're going to get from the internet versus what you're going to get from in person.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
Yeah.
I guess it's really just a time management thing, right? Because when you don't have any business, you can time block whatever you need to do. Like if you need to go to the open houses like you did and really create those relationships and meet face to face with people, you can actually do that because it's not like you have the business that's coming in to where you can't do that.
Well, so I did that for almost a year.
Yeah.
So like I would block out on my schedule like that time frame
tours and
to go do it. You know what I mean? So that way I would make sure that, I mean, there's only so many open houses in this town. You know what I mean? And so what I ended up doing, when I really started falling off was when it kept becoming repeat agents at the open houses.
Yeah, like, oh, I've already met this person.
yeah, exactly. And then the other thing that really worked for me was I created a PowerPoint, you know, being in the military, created a good PowerPoint with a good thing, and I would pitch it to, you know, weekly real estate brokerage meetings. You know, I've done that a few times. That worked really well. The other thing that for advertising that worked for me was, and this was, I don't know, it actually probably created one of my better relationships that I had, was going to an event, shooting the event for free, but being able to push my company at that event. Does that make sense? So like, say Keller Williams had like a awards ceremony or something like that. I would shoot the awards ceremony, but I'm also handing out handing out business cards the entire time that I'm doing it.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Like, so offering services, like kind of a tit for tat, a quid pro quo almost. Yeah. But yeah, I would say those are the things that really like helped me the most. Yeah. The search engine optimization was good, but I got a lot of companies from like Boston and things like that. And, you know, they don't quite understand how business works in New Orleans, right? And so and it's just you just got to do research on those people later on, you know what I mean? You got to do a background to figure out, you know,
for sure,
the Better Business Bureau search and stuff like that. So
for anyone listening to this or watching this, don't ever jump into the first company that reaches out to you or that you find for marketing. Ever. I made that mistake back in 2019. I was paying $2,000 a month for someone to do all of my social media and like,
that's so much money, man,
and all that stuff. And I did that for a whole year.
Yeah.
And don't think I ever got anything from it.
Yeah. So, I mean, you gotta scale back on what works and what doesn't work.
Red light, green light. Red light, green light. You know?
Yeah, 100%. What I find is a lot of books and magazines and stuff like that. And I'm not going to drop names. But I mean, everybody knows who they are here in New Orleans. Like those magazines and books and things like that want you to pay to be like one of the top producers in your field.
Right.
Right. And you have to pay for advertising within that company, right? It's not the top producers out there because we already know who all of those are.
Right.
Right. If somebody's really good at what they do and they produce it, like you may not ever know, right?
Right.
I mean, if I told you I did 1,500 shoots in 3 years, like you're like, wow, that's a lot, right? But like I didn't get a single accolade from anyone because every time they came to me, I was like, okay, how much do you want me to pay to be have an article in your magazine,
Right.
right? And it's always like 600, 700, 800, maybe even $1,000. And I'm
Yep.
like, that's not my marketing budget,
Right.
man. Like,
Right.
I'm not gonna pay for publicity in your magazine. Like, I'm just gonna perform,
Right.
right? So the other side of it is like, you know, that may have gotten me in a magazine and stuff, but at the end of the day, I just what I found was I just want to work enough to be happy, and I don't want to be too public. I don't want all the fame and publicity and things like that, right? It doesn't suit me.
Right. I think, and
some people like that, though.
Yeah, some people do. I think
you kind of like that. To be honest.
Look, what I like is getting clients.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, that's what I like.
Yeah.
I like getting clients because I like creating the friendships with them because I've always ended up being friends with all my clients. And you know, it's just sometimes I feel like you got to be a little flashy. You know, you got to be a little flashy. You got to really be confident because you got to know what you're talking about. You got to.
We're in two very different sides of real estate.
Well, we are, you know, because me, it's like I got to scrounge through people trying to find someone who's trying to buy a house. Yeah. You know where the real estate agent is going to be because they're blasting it all over their social medias all the time. You know where they're going to be. So, you know, yeah, it's a bit different.
Very different side of it, right? Mm-hmm. And for me, like I wasn't trying to. What's really funny is I don't ever want to be too successful.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what I found.
Then you become complacent.
Well, it's not only that. There's a whole bunch of different things, right? So, in the narcotics industry, right? And I'm gonna play back to that. The guys that ended up on my computer screen when I was hunting people were the guys that got too greedy. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So when you become too flashy and you become too successful, you're gonna make mistakes, right? You're gonna do things that will end up on somebody's radar, and you're gonna fail, right? And it's how you deal with that failure kind of determines your character, right? But for me, like, I'm just trying to get by, man.
Right.
Like, I wasn't trying to... I did very well, right? Like, I was really good at hunting people and finding things, and you had to mess up pretty bad to be on my computer screen. Like, the way I looked at it was like, if I had a file on you, man, like, you were so greedy that you were beyond reasonable thoughts, right? You weren't doing things from a...
empathetic standpoint?
No, not even empathetic, but from a logical standpoint. Right? You weren't taking good steps for your business. You were, you know, getting super greedy where you're, you know, winding up on the news or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So like the way I looked at it is like slow growth was good for me. And you know, I'm just not that. I'm not trying to be in the line. I'm trying to be behind the camera, not in front of the camera.
I hear you. Well, and I don't like being in front of the camera every time either. You know, I'll tell you. Yeah, I know, in front of the camera now. But you know, sometimes when we're shooting a video, I'm like, no, man, I don't want to be in it. Just shoot the house. You know, just shoot the house.
Yeah. For me, it's that mindset of, am I providing? Am I getting out of this what I want? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. The new, I feel, American dream is just being happy and financially stable. It's not necessarily...
That's so hard these days, man.
It is, but if you just... Like, I don't need to be a filthy rich person. I just need to be able to not worry that next month, am I going to pay my bills or not? You know, and I think a lot of people are in that boat. And that's what I wanted to say. Yeah,
I think that you're... Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? You're looking at food, water, security, right?
And just those things are freaking expensive. Just those things. And like people live and work, people work to pay for those foundational pillars that you need to survive. And like and a lot of people don't have any access to truly enjoy their life because they're too busy paying for those things.
Yeah.
And it sucks.
Yeah, and not being able to...
Slave to the system.
Yeah, dude, wage slaves. That's a real thing.
Yeah,
right?
it is.
Like,
yeah, it's ChatGPT. I watched that video of how like some lady was asking ChatGPT about how can you explain how humans are basically wage slaves? And ChatGPT went into this whole thing about how from the beginning, that's how it was set. And it is still that way to this day. We are just bound by money and status rather than actual slavery.
Yeah, dude, it's a wild thing, and when you sit and think about it, like trading time. Well, that's the funny thing, right? Trading time for money, like an hourly wage, right? Versus working for yourself, and then versus passive income, right?
Right.
It's the whole thing with Rich Dad Poor Dad. And
Mhm.
once you read that, it'll change your whole financial mindset of
Yep.
like I could never go back to doing an hourly wage, man. Like never.
Yeah.
Because like I value being able to come home, have lunch with my wife anytime I want, you know. But at the same point, like there's so many drawbacks of like 12, 14, 18-hour days of
Right.
me, trudging along, staring at a computer, and then like falling asleep into my keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
Yeah. And I mean, I like I like that I can just come in here and today I'm going to sit here and I'm going to film a podcast with my good friend Ben. You know, like I'm going to do that today. That's what I'm going to do today. I'm not micromanaged by anybody because I'm my own boss and I can do what I want.
Yeah. And then, just kind of managing your finances outside of that, right? Like, what are your priorities? I had an interesting epiphany the other day. It's kind of like everyone is building their own first person, like an RPG,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're building your own character, and literally that's why they call it a character. Is because you're building, like in a video game, it's called a character, right?
Yeah.
But you're building your character to the skills and life experiences that you want to have. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like it's such a it was such a like in your face epiphany for me that like I put time and money and everything into photography skills, right? And now I have those skill sets and I use them, right? You have done it into marketing and into real estate and being able to manage other people's finances and help them find new homes and things like that, right?
The more homes I sell, the more I get one little skill notch, right?
Right. Like you level up.
Yeah.
Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And it's so like funny, but it makes sense. And it just kind of like reiterates the whole matrix theory, like the whole simulation theory, right? It's kind of wild. But yeah, I mean, that's how are you going to spend your character's time in this gameplay? You know what I mean?
Right. And to simulation theory, I know you've seen the one where you're looking straight at it, you got the two lines, and then when you look away, you have like 8, right? Isn't that how it works? You have that experiment where if you're looking through the two slits.
Oh, the double slit experiment?
Yeah, the double slit experiment.
Yeah.
And so, it's like that in itself is a testament to why we are to simulation theory being a thing. Because you're looking at it and it's existing, but when you're not looking at it, the frequencies change.
So whether you observe it or not affects the outcome. Does that make sense? So like the way that the double slit experiment works is that if and I can't remember which one was which, but if you observed it, the photon of light either acted as a wave or as a individual particle. And
okay.
What's really crazy about that is that you're able to affect the outcome of the experiment based on your energy that you're putting onto it. Does that make sense?
Yes, which is wild.
Well, so they did another more recent experiment on that, and it's not just whether you're observing it, but that also in real time. They've done it of whether you're going to observe it in time or not. I forget how they broke this down, but essentially you can retroactively affect how a particle acts in time. I'm doing a terrible job of explaining
That's
this.
okay. That's
but
okay.
The way it works is like the double slit experiment, right? If you observe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what they've done is they did the same thing with time, and you can affect the results in the past or affect the results in the future based on whether or not the particle was observed.
Really?
I forget how they broke down the experiment, but yeah, it's retroactive as well. So, and that is completely mind blowing to me. Like I don't understand how that works at all, but it makes sense. Right?
Yeah. Well, they say that, there is no past, there is no future, there is only present. So like, your past as you remember it in your brain may not be your past.
If this is a simulation,
Mhm.
right, and it's a first person player game, right, every time you go to sleep, there's no guarantee that any moment before you went to sleep even existed, right? You could just be living one day at a time, right? And that's a great way to look at living your life, is just one day at a time,
Yeah.
because you're not guaranteed the next day. You're not guaranteed that the past even really happened.
Right.
Because it all could have just been uploaded memories, like in Total Recall, like brought into your brain.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
And they're uploaded, every
Yeah.
night that you sleep.
Yeah,
right?
there's no guarantee that the past happened or that the future will happen.
That's right.
It's only now, which is crazy to me.
It is.
Yeah.
But I think that kind of explains what you were talking about before, about the particles and about observing them. It's because it's like, if there is only now, then that is how they can be affected.
Yeah.
Because
retroactively in the
Yeah.
past or in the future.
that's and I think anybody that's watching this that worries a lot about their future and worries a lot about what's coming, that doesn't solve anything. Like, it's gonna happen one way or another. However it's gonna happen, you just need to focus on a positive mindset about the situation and know that no matter how much you worry about it, it's not going to solve it.
Yeah, so the other thing, like, man, so military operations are crazy, right? The scale.
You keep saying that. You know what? I think they might be a little crazy.
So the vastness. so one of the things that I learned was in a massive operation, there's things that you can control and things that you can't control. And if you can't control them, like for instance, like the enemy's actions, like you can't control anything that they do, right? But you can control everything that you do, right? So what you can do is manipulate these things in order to get the best outcome that you can, and then hope for the best over there. And then plan for everything that this could happen. Right.
Bulletproof it as much as possible. Like,
Right.
think about every circumstance and consequence and
Right.
try to plan, but
again, that's just a time sump.
Yeah.
Right. So you'll end up spending all your time doing that. But what it really ends up happening is when shit hits the fan and you're in a firefight, what really happens is, what can you control and what can't you control? And then you can't really worry about what you can't control, only things that you have, domain over.
Yep.
Right? Like, some of the craziest SEALs that I ever worked with, this guy was like a pretty popular SEAL within the community, and he would tell me that he never fired a single round in a firefight ever. And he was high ranking. He was like a commander at the time. I think he's probably a captain, or even maybe probably an admiral at this point. But he told me he never fired a single round in all of the combat missions he's ever been in.
Wow.
Because he was the commander, right? He was violently controlling all of the things that he could control, right? So he had a team of steely-eyed killers, right? And he would be like, you go over there, you go over there, you go over there. And he never had to fire a single thing because he was so good at controlling the things that he could control. He never had to get down and dirty himself.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and so that's what I've always tried to strive towards is, and the same thing works in business, right?
Yeah.
If you end up scaling up and say I hired 10 photographers, my whole goal would be never to shoot
right. You're going to be the one
again.
that's directing all those people.
Right. And
100%.
but I mean, I don't necessarily think that's where I'm going to go, but that would be my goal,
Right.
is to relinquish all of the control that I can, but also, I guess not control, but relinquish all of the actions that I take and only put other people into action. Does that make sense?
It does.
And so that's
great advice.
Your worry can only be over things that you can control,
right.
not what other things, right? And so you need to focus.
But if you can control it, there's no use in worrying because you can solve it.
Correct, right? So a lot of that worrying and things like that kind of fall off when you're looking at really big, large-scale things. You're like, oh, well, I can't control the rates, but what I can control is the price of the house.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I can't control the location of the house, but what I can control is, how we talk about the location of the house,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah,
for sure. And things like that.
I think that's some great advice, man. I really do. It's like, thinking about it that way as if you're in a firefight. Like, what can you control and what can you not? Obviously, those are extreme circumstances. But if you apply it to the business world, it's like, yeah, like I can't control the fact that this plumbing has a root growing through it from a tree. You know what I mean? But what I can control is getting quotes and getting plumbers out there to assess the situation and handle it, right? So, but I'm not going to worry about the root coming through the pipe.
Don't let it destroy your day.
You know?
Just figure out it's just a setback.
That's
just
right.
Figure out
just
a way
setback. You know, okay, got to solve the problem. Got to put out the fire. How do we put out the fire? But just taking it like that. What can I control? Okay, I can execute that. Don't need to worry about it. What can't I control? Okay, can't control that. Don't need to worry about it. Worrying solves nothing. It's great advice.
Yeah, man. That's it's hard to follow though. I tell you that much. It's very good advice, hard to implement. I tell you that much, man. That is one of the hardest things that I've tried to do in my life is like, worrying about all kinds of things, keeping me up at night. But
it's simple, but it's not easy. Right?
I know.
Simple,
a lot of times the simplest things are the hardest things to do.
Yeah, it's very true.
And those that make it look simple have mastered that thing so much more than anyone else has given them credit for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I got to learn to give myself some grace in those situations because I'm my own worst enemy. You know, I'm my own worst critic. I focus so much on making sure that I'm doing things the right way all the time that I come down on myself if like I miss one step here or one step there.
Man, that first video that I did for that client, I tore it apart. I was like, man, I just have to give it to him, right? I can't. Like I thought it was terrible, and they
were blown away.
Yeah, and they were like, "Wow, this is really good. You did amazing." And I was like, "Really?" Like, at that point, you just have to, even if you are your own worst critic, you have to like accept the compliments that come from the work that you do. You know what I mean? Like, and sometimes it's really hard to do too, to get out of your own way and give yourself that praise that you need too.
For sure, because like I can tell you, like you have accomplished some great things in this industry that you have created here, like in your company that you've created, done some great things. And, I've done some great things in real estate. But, I've learned a lot, and so have you, about everything that we do. And we've come so far that it's like we've accomplished so much just in this short amount of time that we've been doing this. And I have people tell me all the time, like, that's just so incredible that like you've done this and you've done this, or like you can easily just pull up and know any document that goes with any contract and you can write it. And it's like, yeah, well, I've done it a bunch of times. And now to me, it's like second nature. But they have some agents in the office that like are so worried about reaching out to people because they're going to have to write a contract and they don't know how to do that. And it's like, that's what this whole industry is. You're writing contracts. That's how you get money. Like, and the second you write one contract, you'll have a template for all the other ones. And then you just learn as you go. Don't be worried or paralyze yourself because you're worried about something you don't know how to do. Because as soon as you throw yourself to the wolves, you're going to learn from your experience, whether it's failing forward or succeeding and learning how the right way it's done.
Yeah, I think that a good mindset is, it's having that childlike wonder.
Yeah.
Right. Like when you see like a little kid outside playing, like climbing a tree, like he's not scared of falling. Like
no.
He might fall, right? And he probably has fallen. But at the same point, like you gotta like just go out and do it and figure it out. Because if you're not out there like playing, like, and you gotta look at it as like, dude, this could be so much worse. Like, you know what I mean? Like this could be like, I don't know. I had some terrible jobs in the past, right? And like, this is like, I feel like this is just easy money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like as much hard work as I put into it, I feel like it's still easy money. Yeah. And that's just kind of like alchemizing, like just putting in work.
Yeah. And kids, they're happy. They're just innocent and happy. As adults, we've gone through, especially you, have gone through so much to where you just hardened your brain. It's almost like you've built up callus on your brain from just all the shit and just stress that has come at us in our life and our journey to adulthood. You know what I mean? And like, I think that's also really good advice. It's just like, try to close your eyes and visualize yourself being back to a kid. Because if you're sitting here and you're just so depressed and you don't know how to get out of it, like try to change that. Like, okay, yes, you've been, spit on and stepped on and everything, getting yourself to adulthood and surviving here, that you've created now this shell. And you need to think back to the time when you remember that you were just an innocent child living, not knowing any of those things. And that may help rewire some of those synapses and stuff in your brain to bring you back to that time.
That's a privilege, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a privilege to be where we are, right? It's a privilege to have that ability to create a business and be successful with it. It's a privilege to have all the knowledge that you have, right? And a lot of people take that for advantage, and they look down on people that don't have that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and you do this, and I try to do it sometimes as well, is like teach people some of the skills that you have, because it's a privilege to have those, and you should share them as much as possible, because I do try to. I really do. And that's awesome, dude, because like the more that you can share that, the more like good you can put out into the world. Like, I don't know. I believe in karma. What you put out, you get back. Same. It's just like a computer program, right? Yeah. Back to the simulation theory. It's weird. But garbage in, garbage out, right? You put garbage programming out there, and like you put hate and discontent, you're going to get hate and discontent back. Yeah. Right? And I've been there and I've done it, and it's just not a good way to operate. Man. No. And so, the more help you can do for the community and people and like your fellow coworkers and stuff, like the better it is. And you feel better. At the end of the day, you can sleep better at night. That's right. Man. What's one piece of advice that you would offer an aspiring entrepreneur who's just starting their business? Besides, of course, obviously going out and face to face. Man, I heard it just the other day, and it's fantastic, is that you don't have to be a successful entrepreneur. You don't have to be the best in your field, but what you do have to do is be 10% better than your clients, right? Like, you just have to have enough skills to get going and then learn from there. Does that make sense? Yeah. Like, when I started, I wasn't the best real estate photographer, but do your research, right? Do as much research as you can to figure out how to do the skills, right? Then start doing the skills. Once you have that 10% knowledge, you can start acting. Yep. And then from there, like, it'll just snowball. Refine. Right? You really just have to take action. That's really that's the biggest piece of advice, right? It's literally the biggest. Yeah. Like, because if you don't take action, nothing ever happens. Yeah. And if you just sit and wonder and, like, I wish that I could do this. I wish that I could do that. Well, just try it. Yeah. Keep wishing, because wishing ain't going to make it happen, Yeah. Wishing ain't gonna make it happen. Like all these new agents that come in thinking, I got my real estate license. I'm gonna be making so much money, like selling all these houses. Rude awakening. Unless you just have 10, 20 people lined up waiting to buy a house from you, you're gonna have to hustle. Yeah. Hard. Because the money doesn't just fall in your lap. One of my favorite mentors, he wouldn't call himself a mentor, but I call him one. Mm-hmm. He would say, "Hope is not a course of action." And yeah. And like that guy's very successful at most of the things he does. And he's a real estate agent now. And in his first year, he had over $5 million in sales. Nice. Yeah. Sorry. $5 million in commissions. Oh, that's a big difference. A big difference, yeah. Because I asked him that. I was like, you did $5 million in sales? That's not bad. He goes, no, that's $5 million in commission. Holy crap. And I was like, holy shit. Yeah. Yeah, and what he's one of those guys that's very personable and like just does action all the time. Mm-hmm. And man, he's crushing it now. He started his own stand-up comedy. He's doing like stand-up comedy and stuff too. Like, I was like, how do you find the time, man? He's like, I don't know. I feel him. I sympathize with him, man, because it's like, okay, I'm doing this. Okay, I feel like I'm very comfortable with that. I got to get myself uncomfortable another way. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, I'm going to do this podcast, get myself a little bit more uncomfortable, because being comfortable, being uncomfortable is really important. That's a huge way to tell if you're growing or not, is if you're comfortable or not. Yeah. If you are uncomfortable and you are pushing yourself out of your little comfort zone, like, that is a huge way to tell if you're growing. For sure. Right? Like, man, sometimes you just got to take that leap of faith and hope that, life outside your comfort zone is not as terrible as you think it is. Yeah. Because 9 times out of 10, you're your own limiting belief. You're your own.
I'd say the odds are even higher than that.
Yeah, I mean, you're putting your own limits on yourself that you can't do something.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Talked to a guy this morning. He's like, "Oh yeah, I really like shirts and shirt designs, and I have a lot of good ideas for designs, but it's going to cost a lot of money to like do it because we're going to have to do it in bulk." And I'm like, "Dude, what are you talking about? Like you've already talked yourself out of this idea by limiting because you think that it's going to cost more in bulk when you haven't even priced it. You've already crushed it. Like you need to change how you're thinking about this. Actually do some digging. I know some people in the industry that do have closed companies. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so it's like those are all doors that are open that can allow you to do this rather than you limiting yourself by thinking, okay, it's all I'm going to do is order in bulk. And that way this idea is irrelevant.
Yeah. You're your own worst critic and you're your own worst enemy.
You are 100%. So I guess what else do you have coming up? Anything exciting with Good Bones Photography coming up? Any events you're doing? Any special shoots?
I did just do some really cool stuff. I shot a limousine company.
Cool.
I stepped out of my comfort zone and shot some cars.
You want to plug the limousine company? You're more than welcome.
Sure. So it's a Jazzy limousine.
Okay.
And then Ace limo.
Okay.
Right. But yeah, they asked me to come out and do that. I met them through real estate photography, and yeah, it was awesome, dude. Like, great set of guys. Pushed my boundaries a little bit on that. Did some videos for them too. I think they came out pretty good. But yeah, that was a fun project I did.
So you're not just real estate photography. You do it all.
Sometimes, yeah. I really like to stick to real estate just because I like to keep my stress levels a little bit lower. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can do events. I've done events before. I don't know. It's just not my cup of tea. Right now, I'm just kind of sitting back. I want to kind of lean more in towards luxury, just for the fact that not necessarily luxury, but higher end shoots. Right. I want to do more. I want to do bigger shoots, but less of them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's just the same way with being an agent. I'd like to do less sales and make more money.
Yeah, exactly. I guess that's true. Yeah. Everybody kind of wants the same thing.
Yeah, everybody wants the same thing.
More thing,
but it's also more fun when you get into the luxury shoots because the architecture is always pretty and it's always different. Not your cookie cutter style houses most of the time.
And that's kind of one of the reasons why I love New Orleans so much, is that it's not cookie cutter like that.
No, they have so many different original homes, and for the most part, people try to keep that original structure from so many homes that are built in like the 20s and up to like the 40s and 50s that are just so original. And people will come in and they'll renovate them, but they'll keep the floor plan and keep it structured like it needs to be original.
Some of those Sears houses that would come in, like the old D.R. Horton stuff. I mean, they're so old; they've been renovated so many times nowadays. Like even those, like I could go in and tell you when I go into a Sears catalog house, but they're never the same that they were out of the catalog. I've even seen one. You know about these?
No.
So in the 50s and 60s, Sears would ship a house to somebody on the back of a train.
Okay.
And it was similar to the D.R. Horton style houses where you could pick one out. You could pick a cottage. You pick like little different things or whatnot. And there's some of them all around town. There's some in Fontainebleau, quite a bit of them. They're around. You when you walk into one, you'll know it.
Okay.
One of the key features is they always have the steps with the storage underneath the steps, like concrete steps, and then they have like a kind of a storage underneath there. So like some of those raised basement types, those are all like the Sears catalog ones.
Okay.
And then they have like tiny little closets.
Right?
It's like the size of like half the size of this desk. Yeah. So those are all the ones built in the 50s and 60s that were on a Sears thing. But a lot of them are, if you don't renovate them, like they've fallen apart.
For sure.
Yeah. So like they're all at this point, they've all been renovated and changed, and so you can always find something different about each house.
And that's the problem with the New Orleans real estate market, is the houses are all so old that really 50% of every transaction, I say, is inspections. I would say maybe even more, because
Even the new houses, though, are like that, man.
Yeah,
like,
but the beautiful part about the new houses is that the people got to fix the stuff because it's a new
yeah,
house.
because it's new construction.
You know,
Yeah.
but like all these old houses that are like keeping their antiquity for the city, but have been maybe renovated, maybe not that much renovated, you know, and then these people, because the market is not necessarily incredible right now, they don't want to put up any money. The sellers don't want to put up any money to fix this stuff because they've already taken a discount on the price because it's a buyer's market right now. So it's tricky. It's tricky for them. It's tricky for the city because then when you watch shows like $1 Million Listing, where Ryan Serhant goes in and he's sitting here negotiating a $2 million apartment that is brand new because everything in New York is brand new except for like their brownstones that they have. And it's like they don't even worry about inspections at all. It's just make the deal, sales done.
Yeah, again,
TV in reality.
TV, all
I
that,
get it.
All of that's so scripted, man.
I know.
Because the difference of like what makes you a good real estate agent is that you're looking at all those as problems to solve.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like you're looking at it from a buyer's and seller's standpoint of how can you get around this? How can you fix it? Like how are we getting to yes? Right. I mean, I would say that's probably the best advice you can ever give an entrepreneur is figure out how to get to yes and have that mindset. Right.
And you know how to get to yes? Get a bunch of no's.
Well, I wasn't
work your way to a yes.
Yeah, I wasn't even mentioning that, but like, you know, getting past all of your just because it's hard doesn't mean you can't do it.
Right.
You know, like do the hard things to get to the yes.
Yeah.
And then from there you'll see success out the ass.
That's right. That's right. You're right. It's stay uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like you will so many doors open when you put yourself in uncomfortable situations, and you get more confident in your own skin the more you do that too, because you learn how to manage those types of situations. And you know, there's nothing better than being the most interesting person in a room. Nothing better than that. When you dress nicer than anyone or something like that, and you just make it a focal point to where this is, I want to stand out a little bit because I definitely want to be noticed in this room. But, you're confident in your own skin. The more confident you are, the better you're going to be. But that all comes with time and experience. No one's a confident real estate agent when they first get licensed. It's a whole new world.
Sometimes the opposite is true of like, and I've seen you do this too, is like when you're out there super busy and doing things, right? Like, you don't have time to really dress snazzy or stuff like that. You're out there in the trenches, like getting dirty. It's like only when you have the business meetings is when you're dressing up. The rest of the time you're, wheeling and dealing and making business happen.
Yeah. I mean, back when I first started, I was wearing suits to everything, like inspections in the summer, but yeah, now I'm not doing that. Like if I got to be presentable, I'm dressing nice. But if I don't, like I'm dressed comfortable.
Dude, New Orleans is it's such a hard environment, right? Like today, I grabbed some coffee this morning and I saw some, the only thing I'd say is like lawyer, who was wearing like a pinstripe suit, like dressed up. And I was like, dude, where are you going in August in New Orleans in a dark pinstripe suit, man? I was like, you got to be like some flashy like lawyer or something, like
lawyer, banker, something.
That maybe, but like I don't know. I did that same thing for a while. It's like I would always wear jeans to every single shoot until, man, I was just I shot the LP&L building on Algiers Point, and I wore jeans to that, and there was no AC in any of the building, and it was August at like
oh no,
and I damn near dehydrated myself.
Oh my God.
I mean, and that's saying something because like I pay attention to that kind of stuff, and that was rough, dude.
Yep.
But like I was after that moment, I was like, I'll just get some nice shorts because like I'm not trying to impress anybody.
Nope. It's very hard to be business savvy in a New Orleans summer because it is just so hot and you sweat so much and then all the nice clothes get sweat stains or it's challenge. It's challenge.
Yeah, but I feel like you can here in New Orleans. New Orleans is a different beast, right? The reason I like New Orleans so much, and I've been around the world, right? I mean, I've almost been to all the continents except for Australia and Antarctica, which I want to go to both of those. But Yeah, New Orleans is one of the coolest cities because you can get away with like bold choices in your fashion. You can get away with bold choices in life, right?
Yeah.
Like people live crazy lives here, and like bold choices in architecture, bold choices in interior design, all kinds of stuff, right? And that's what like that just kind of is exciting to me.
It is.
You know, like I shot a house yesterday, and my client was from Atlanta, and we were inside, and like it was just like over the top, like interior design, and I was like, I love it, and he was like, it's too much, and I was like, I get it. It was a short-term rental. It wasn't necessarily a for sale,
Okay.
right? So it's a lot of maintenance to have like all of the, you know, like masks on the walls and things like that, because you got to dust them and things like that. And but I was like, man, I love it. I was like, this is what New Orleans is. You know what I mean? Like it's flashy. It's fashion. It's like gaudy almost a little bit. You know what I mean? Like it's in your face. Like I love that shit.
Yeah,
it's my favorite. Yeah,
it's just so different. Like I've been to a lot of places around the country, and the closest place I've ever been that was similar to here was Austin. That was the closest place I think.
Oh no, man! I feel like New Orleans has its own flavor, right?
No, it definitely does.
And I feel like I don't even think like it's trying. I think it just does.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
It's a melting pot. Everybody comes here. So many different cultures, so many different types of people, ethnicities, and everything come here and just be and share their creativity and
without
their
judgment,
cultures.
Right? Like that's what I really love about New Orleans is you can be yourself without judgment.
For sure.
Right? Like, man, everywhere else I've lived, like you gotta. Like in DC, you got to drop what 3-letter agency you're working with, right? You got to drop what senator you work for, who you know, things like that. Same thing with LA. I'm sure, like people are dropping what label company they're with or things like that. Like, and I feel like here, like people don't really care.
No.
You know? Like they're kind of interested in you as a person. Like, hey, that's a cool shirt you got there, man. Where'd you get it from?
Mm-hmm.
You know, as where like, I mean, I got this at. Buffalo Exchange, right? It's somebody else's shirt, right? But if I told somebody in Austin that, they would have been like, oh my gosh, wearing somebody else's shirt? That's crazy.
I got this from Funky Monkey.
Yeah, dude. Like, I love that kind of stuff,
yeah,
right?
Same.
Like, you can't find... I feel like New Orleans is so unique that you can just be expressive.
Yeah.
And it's allowed.
Yeah.
Which is very different from a lot of different places.
For sure. It's a lot more accepting for everybody's individualistic styles. Yeah. A lot more accepting. And maybe that's why I think it's so amazing here, because it really is that way. You know, for the most part, everybody's pretty accepting of everyone else.
Yeah. Which is unique.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's not something that you get in other cities around the world, I don't think. No. Like, you might get them in, like, other countries, but not here in the States.
Yeah. You would know. You've been probably to almost every one of them.
No, I mean, I've been to a couple countries, but, like, yeah, I mean, it's hard to stick out in New Orleans. You know what I mean?
It is hard to stick out.
It's hard to stick out. And so, yeah.
Mm-hmm. You gotta be pretty individualistic and pretty creative to get yourself to stand out in this city.
Yeah, but you also got to be authentic. I think that's what really helps people stick out is when you're true to yourself with like your style and who you are, right? Like that'll help you stick out even more so than just being flashy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Be yourself. Be yourself. Put yourself out there because the people smell through the bullshit.
Yeah.
So I guess why don't you tell everybody where they can find you on all the social media, your website, all that stuff. I'm going to have it on the screen.
Yeah, you can find me just Good Bones Photography on Instagram, TikTok. I have YouTube. I don't put that much on there because most of it's like pretty short on the reels. My website's goodbonesphotography.com. Yeah.
Great. Well, check out Ben. Ben's amazing. Great for real estate photo shoots, but also other photo shoots. But you're gonna have to reach out to him on that. But yeah, thanks so much, man. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, of course.
And
thanks, man.
You got it.